There's internet. Yeah, connected. Yours working?
Yes,
You have internet, right?
here, mine is working. On yours.
Okay.
Oh wait,
See, mine's working now.
wait. Do we have to reconnect each time when we?
No, no,
But mine is not connecting this.
I'm connected.
Uh, we're going for Great Neck Public Wi-Fi. Is that the one? Oh no, Great Neck employees. It says
There you go.
connecting.
Guess it started.
Surprised by that. Thought they would have waited and done something a little more clandestine.
A little more dramatic.
It's not clandestine, they kept saying
No Wi-Fi networks found.
No.
Oh, now
They
it's
said
connecting.
after the general report?
yeah.
It's weird. It's connecting to
Well,
Great.
I think they had to appease their people.
There's no way.
Mhm.
He's gonna sit back and let that happen now. I can't believe it.
Mm-mm.
Even if he started it.
Were you military?
He's referring to. No, he's wrong.
Where do you come across?
Okay, you have?
Yeah, I'm not getting it. I mean, it says that the regular, the public one we can connect to.
You connected?
I'm connected.
How are you connected?
He might not be
I'm
connected.
connected under employees.
Oh, okay.
Try to do.
Problem with wireless adapter access point.
Please bear with us. Having a little technical difficulty.
Alright, what if we connect via the other method?
What do I do? What do I do now?
You're connected.
What's the network security key for the Great Neck Public Wi-Fi?
One word lowercase and there's no space.
Because I'm just going to connect by that.
It's not working. Okay. If anybody's connected next to me, I can use that.
Okay, now it works. It seems like it wants to, and the interesting thing is that once I chose the public, it gave me the secure. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay. So maybe try.
Yours working?
Well, no. So this is what I did. Connect via the public.
see even the Wi-Fi here on this one.
In other words, choose this one, and then click connect, and then you type in your. And then it seems to automatically switch to the other one. You'll see.
Really?
Yeah, that's what just happened. Did you click on next? Yeah, that's fine.
Andy, all right?
Yeah, I'm working. I didn't think you were on video. Why don't you just use mine?
That's what I want. I'm gonna call him before we pass it on.
Exec session.
Okay, it's not working, it's not working. Okay, you know what? For the sake of time, I'm just, you know what? We can work on it, see if it works, and then I'll go just. Good evening, everyone. Sorry for the difficulty. I still don't have internet, but I'll use my neighbors. Okay. .643 Middle Lake Road. Do we have any departmental reports? Lou is not here. 643 Middle Lake Road, the sign application. Is this the sign application?
Yes.
It's pink on pink?
Yes, today, me and Mr. Steven, we talked to the construction guy. He said white is not gonna show much. Yeah,
This is gonna show.
That doesn't show. That's for sure.
okay.
Yeah, there's a rendering.
Yeah.
The picture on the digital picture is more contrasting. Yeah, there it is.
Okay. And you said that you're going to put a frame around it?
Yes, gonna put the frame.
Do we have
and-
the frame? Have you seen the frame?
It's in the rendering.
We
have the rendering? Yeah, I have the rendering,
rendering
yeah.
I have does not have the frame.
Updated drawing? No, there's no frame on it. This one you're talking about?
Yeah, this one,
This-
there's
this
one
one-
here, but there's no frame. What
Yeah, he said he gonna put the frame.
what is the frame? And you have the lights as well? I see lights on top?
Yeah,
Okay, and what is the frame made of? Is it the same material? Is it wood? Is it
metal,
metal?
yeah.
What color?
Same color.
Pink?
Yeah.
No, I think it's black. There's something wrong.
I don't think there's any frame in that.
There's a frame.
There is?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is a frame.
it's hard to see. It's like,
No, see, this is not a frame. This is just on the background.
okay.
It's definitely more contrast than that shows.
Yeah.
I mean, just take a look at the frame and the material. I think, what do you guys think about this? Yeah, I mean, that's much better, right? And then as far as the frame, I think a frame would work nice. I just really can't see the color of the frame, what it should be.
Same color. It's same color.
Are you
Continue.
asking for a microphone, Rebecca?
We can't hear you, and we can't hear him, and therefore we should.
Right, so the nicer way of asking is, can we please hear you?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Are you giving me lessons on the
Sometimes I
appropriate
can.
behavior?
Yes. Okay, can we pass one microphone to the other side?
Thank you.
Lily, would you be opposed to a black frame around it?
He told me it's the same color. Same color.
As the letters?
Yeah. No,
As
not
the-
letter. It's same color as the light.
Same
pink.
color as
Yeah,
this?
Yeah.
Everything pink?
Yeah. Pink is
No
my
contrast?
favorite.
I know,
Pink is
but-
my favorite color.
At least if you use, again, I'm not a designer, but I would say if you use the darker color that you're using for the letters,
Yeah.
you can see the board, you can see the
Frame.
frame.
Uh-huh.
If you use this color, what's the point of using a frame
get a
if
frame.
it's going to be exactly the same? The reason people put a frame is because you want to separate it from the rest of,
You want it to pop.
you want it right. I would use the darker color at least. You see, with the letters, at least have that around. I think it's going to make it nicer.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to make any difference in the price.
Okay. Okay. So I will
Um,
make a dark. I will ask him make a darker color.
So we could just approve it and have the building department
Yeah.
approve the frame?
The black. The background is black anyway. So it's, okay. So the darker pink, and then it's okay. Anyone has any questions? We need to pass this.
I don't.
What kind of
Yeah.
flowers are you selling?
I selling fresh flower and plants, healthy plants. Yeah.
Good luck. Thank you.
Okay. Do we need to pass this?
With that being said, is there a resolution of the Board of Trustees to determine that the requirements of Chapter 575, Article 15 of the Village Code has been sufficiently complied with, and hereby approving the application pursuing to the same provision of the code, subject to review and approval of the frame by the building department?
So moved.
moved by trustee Hope, I'm sorry, Sobel, seconded by trustee Hope. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Congratulations.
Good luck.
Good luck to you.
Item B, I believe they're not ready to be presented. We're going to move to item C. Discussion regarding the parking restrictions on Beach Road west of Polo. I did have a discussion with the school and the superintendent. I do believe that they agree with the restrictions of no parking during the school time.
Yes, Mayor. I did a canvas of
Can't
the
hear you.
area. I did a canvas of the area. Usually the streets around it.
The mic's not working. That's better.
It worked.
But hold your speaker.
No, it's working.
I did a canvas of the area around there, and most of the street have the sign that you could see right now on the screen. It's a 7:30 to 3, Monday through Friday, September through June, which is basically the school hours. I don't know if the board would like to extend that throughout the year or
No.
just keep it that.
My question is, there are times that the school is not in session.
I know, but it gets very.
It gets complicated if we want to put just the school days, then we have to change all the
Oh, this is-
signs maybe.
okay.
The rest of the streets on the sign says September
This
through
is
June.
what it says?
Yes.
Okay. You may speak.
Come
You
on up,
wanna
Barbara.
come, because I'm afraid someone doesn't hear you, then we get screamed at, so it's
Your
good if
name
you
and
listen.
address.
You know, we have to worry about everything now.
Right. The only problem, if you say September to June, is that we rent out our facilities at times over the summer.
Mhm.
So you just need to know that.
We understand that.
So that's a problem, September to June?
No, I'm just saying, when you restrict it, let's just say September to June, if somebody's using the facilities in July,
But it's
then
not.
they will park there.
Yeah,
But it's not a full. It's not a full school full of children or students. In the summer,
Yes,
it's not. No.
it depends. We rotate.
but it says,
like
where
the
there
park
are
district.
programs.
I understand.
No,
But-
no, not the parks. I'm not talking about outside. I'm talking about the building. Not always, but there are times that it's used. We have a summer program.
I understand, but the number of students who are in the summer program is nowhere near,
No,
and they're not driving the same way that.
no, but
And
I'm
they could use
just
the parking
saying,
lot. Okay.
if you don't want people, let's just say, on that street,
We could try it like this, and if
Sure.
it becomes more of an issue that we see
not
that
a
we need
problem
it.
for me, but you were
September-
asking about
Yes.
when to have it, so I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you.
so, Barbara, as far as this goes, you would like for it to include the summer as well?
No, I don't care at all. I don't care. I'm only pointing
She pointed out.
That it may
there's a chance that there might
be
a
people
lot of
parking.
cars there.
And you have your parking lot open during the summertime?
Yes. I mean, we're doing this in response to the request for it,
Right.
really.
Right, so I mean, I think we'll see what happens, hopefully during the summertime. By then, people get used to parking in the parking lot. Okay. All right. Motion?
With that being said, is there a motion of the board to determine the proposed action to be type 2 pursuant to SECRA and instituting no parking or standing along Beach Road west of Polo Road to the boundary line of the village limits, Monday through Friday for the period of September to June, for the time periods of 7:30 a.m. to 3 p.m.
I move.
Moved by trustee Namdar, seconded by trustee Sobel.
Does
Yes.
this affect Lawson Lane, or is it just Beach?
This is on beach.
You said till the city line, so.
I'm
I
sorry,
meant
we
to be-
can't hear you.
I was asking if it included Lawson Lane, because you mentioned that it was till the village line.
It would
so-
be from Beach Road west of Polo Road to the end of
Lawson
Village
Lane
Line.
is not Beach Road.
Okay, so that's what I'm
It's
just,
just Beach Road.
yeah,
It's
no,
envisioned.
because
My
there were
understanding
residents
is that
on
there's
Lawson.
only one street that way.
Right, okay,
Okay.
okay.
So are you saying that the Lawson Lane, people on Lawson Lane would also
Well,
like?
no, I've heard mixed things.
Okay.
No,
from,
if you look at it,
uh,
Mayor, the end of Beach Road,
Yeah, no, I know
Turn
how
around.
it becomes
it
Lawson.
curves, yeah.
But Lawson's still in the village.
yes.
Well, that's why I wanted clarification.
Okay.
Question?
With that
Yep.
being said, there's a motion pending.
Yes.
Okay.
Rebecca Rosenblatt Gilliard.
Okay.
I'm curious to know what the enforcement issue would be.
Say it again?
I'm curious to know, now that you've enacted this, what's
We haven't
going now.
enacted it yet. We haven't voted on it yet.
Right, but you have a sign. So before you vote on this, can you discuss enforcement? How you're going to go about,
Enforcing it?
yes, how are you going to, are you
Yeah,
sending
parking.
people there and how often a day? Are they going to be rerouted from somewhere else? What are you doing?
We have people that are hired, as you know, and they go around and give tickets where they have to go tickets.
So this street would be no different than any other street in the village of Great Neck.
We never pick a single street to be.
Thank you.
That being said, Mayor, the aforementioned motion was moved by trustee Namdar. Is it seconded? Seconded by trustee Sobel. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Hearing none, the motion carries.
So Mayor, we have a number of issues with the streets, street lights. Do you want me to move to the next one? I'm sorry.
Yes, please.
Resident call in, they speak to usually Brian or somebody in the office.
Please. Yeah.
We take the numbers down, we take the address of the light that is out. We send out either our crew, Louis' crew out, or we give it to someone who has been taking care of the village's light in the past few years. And they go out and they give us a report of what's wrong with the village lights. There are a number of streets that there have issues with the light, whether it be wiring or other issues. Brian has put them together and accepted and received a proposal from Anchors, and he'll be explaining it further.
So basically, we have a few locations that are listed on here. That the first one we have is 4 William Street, which is a proposal for a installation of a new light. According to Louis, this was a light that was never replaced after Sandy. So he noticed that it was dark there, and he recommended that we have a new light. So I got a proposal for that.
So that instead of what you're proposing is installation of a new light, a pole, and a removing of an existing pole.
Base, just the base.
It doesn't say base. Okay, so okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's $17.25 for that proposal from Anchor. The next proposal we have is for Devonshire and Fairview to install a new.
And these are not. This is not a Cobra light. This is
It's a Cobra. They're replacing.
This-
the first one, William Street. That's a Cobra light.
It looks like they're replacing a coach with a Cobra.
I don't know.
The first
That-
one.
The
For
first one.
William.
Oh no, a new post-top coach light.
I
Okay.
think it's a light. It
It's a
can't
coach
be because
light.
the pole.
Yeah.
The other ones go on a utility pole.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's for that. Okay. And then
So the next one we have is that for Devonshire and Fairview. This is at the intersection. At Louis' recommendation, said this intersection was dark, and he recommended that we install a new light there. This one is a Cobra head.
yeah, and that comes with an arm, and I believe that in that intersection there's already a utility pole that we.
Yes, correct. Correct. Then we have another one. These next two this next proposal for Moreland Court is the underground wiring is damaged and has to be replaced. That's for $6,450.
And how many lights are we talking about in this area?
That is one light, it looks like, that is out.
What was the damage from?
It could be just wear and tear. There is one proposal that that is not on for tonight because that was damaged by National Grid according to Anchor, so we have to work that out with National Grid. That's on Brown Road, but that's not on here for tonight. Moreland was, Moreland and Carriage Road, according to Anchor, was just deterioration, old age. The cables need to be replaced in the road. So this one for Moreland is 230 feet of wiring. So that's trenching in the road and asphalt replacement. That's for 6,450. Then we also have the one for Carriage Road. Is same situation. This one has several lights out on the block.
You also, I think you skipped Middle Neck Road and Hicks.
Yeah, it's just the same similar situation for Carriage Road and for Moreland.
But with Carriage Road, didn't we repave that street not long ago? Didn't
We did.
repave
We
it?
Last, yes.
So now
last.
we're.
a year and a half ago,
A year. So
Yeah.
now we're gonna be digging it up to.
and they repair it. They fix it.
Yeah, it'll be patchwork, but they will repair
The
it.
question is,
They're not gonna be happy.
Okay.
Because
They need the light.
Well, right now there's 3 or 4 streetlights that are out.
No, I
Yeah.
understand the necessity.
And then the last one, the last proposal is to install a new light that was previously there with pole on Middle Neck Road in Hicks. It was on the island, the middle island. It was hit several times over the past couple of years, and it wasn't replaced after the last accident there. So that proposal is for $4,375. All these proposals, grand total is, I wrote it down here somewhere, $23,390. Anchor has a contract with the town of North Hempstead also, just to bring to your attention.
They are giving us the same price as town of Hempstead.
May I say something?
sure.
The one that was,
Just stop.
Jean Pierce, the one that was hit on Hicks and Middle Neck, can't you go after the insurance company?
We don't know who hit it, I believe.
Oh,
I mean, if we had cameras, it would help, but we don't have cameras. At least not yet. See what happens. Have we gone around for other streets to find out where are the other dark spots?
We haven't. We usually listen to the residents. If somebody calls and they complain that our street is dark, then we send out whether our crew or crews from Anchors to assess the situation to see what's the problem with the area. But if certainly there are dark areas or dark spots in the village that needs to be illuminated, we can consider that for the future proposals.
Anyone here knows an area that is dark that hasn't been mentioned? No? What?
Where are the 2 Strathmore guys back there?
Yeah.
Step up.
Area that's light, and it's funny, those lights seem to change sometimes. Like 4 o'clock in the morning, the other morning, suddenly my bedroom was like, boom, lit up.
I'm Stacy Rabb. I spoke to Brian about this. The light outside my house, I think somebody
Where is
backed into 44, the light between 44 and 42 Old Ponds. So it was literally just like left halfway on our driveway. They came, they took it out, and it was safe, but there's a cone there, so I just want to make sure it gets replaced. I just actually followed up with Brian about it.
Okay.
Do you have a camera by your house?
My nest did not,
Catch
does
it?
not angled, it does not, he asked me that, my house is like on the curve, so it's not angled that way. But it was literally like, I left my house at 9 a.m. and the light was up, and then my husband walked out, so we walked outside at like 11, and we were like, huh, guess somebody knocked into it in the past 2 hours.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Bernard Goichberg, 11 Strathmore. We'd love to see some additional lighting put in next to our pond in the Strathmore community. It's very dark on that side of the street. And as well as the Eco Park, there's no lighting back there, and there's some folks that go through the park at night to cross over to the other side of the community. So I think a light would be warranted there as well, if possible.
I think we ran that by Louis before. Just, I think it's a good idea if we can. I don't know if it's going to be an issue of, I think the issue is the wiring. Unless we take an over the ground, right.
There are two ways to do it, either go overhead or to go underground. Underground is always more expensive,
Way more expensive.
but overhead wires, they
Are
have
not
their
as
own
pretty.
issues
Right, yeah.
that they wear and tear deteriorate much faster than underground, I believe.
Do they?
That's what,
Well, the trees.
the trees and then the rain and the snow and getting hot and getting cold, it might deteriorate faster than the under.
All right, so I think something to ask Anchor maybe just to see if they can give us a quote. I do believe that that Echo Park needs a little bit of a boost.
How are you? Dan
Yeah, hi.
From Strathmore. Thanks for having us, everybody. There's also just a couple of other lights I just want to talk about besides the Eco Park. It backs up to the power plant or the water pump station. They probably could wire, just as an idea, from there. It's pretty close by because there is lights on the back of the water station, so they could ultimately what they could do is just take a light from that and face it onto the Eco Park. Probably the easiest way to do it.
It's not ours.
Not
Yeah,
yours.
the
No,
water
that's-
is not ours.
that's
I mean, the
fine.
water is ours, but
Right.
the water department.
But and on the other part is there on the corner of the ball field in Strathmore there was a light that was knocked down. I don't think it was ever put back up. I think maybe one of the plows knocked it over, something like that on the corner of the address. It's the corner of what's Glazer's address? What's the end of Strathmore Road at the end? What's Pondview? The corner of Pondview and Strathmore Road, I believe. Strathmore Road, I believe. I'll look it up right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I think it was never. I'm almost sure it was never replaced, or they took it down, or I know it came down. I don't
How
think
long has it been out?
for like, I think like a year, maybe 6
Ah.
months, a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just for the record, if anyone hears this on YouTube, please let us know if there are areas that you believe need more lighting. You can call, what's your extension? 516-482-0019, extension 102, and let us know if we can actually put the lights in those areas. Thank you.
Yeah, Brian, while you've got a list going, Beach Road between Orchard and Maple is pitch black. That's it. Okay.
Okay, so as far as the proposal, can the community fund be used for these? Oh,
Yes, Mayor, there are some issues that perhaps we can discuss offline. I don't think they need to be addressed at this moment, but related to this topic.
okay. Okay.
So we're going to vote on the street proposals, or do you want an executive session for advice of counsel?
Briefly, yes.
Okay.
Is that a
Yeah,
unanimous
move to-
vote for advice of counsel
Yes.
on the streetlights issue?
Yep.
I'll be here, boss. Any council, good thing. Any council. Thank you. Yeah.
resolution to exit the advice of
By
council
the way,
session?
yes, go ahead. Yes.
I'll make a motion.
By
Diana.
trustee Mendelson, seconded by trustee Sobel, all in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
We're back in session, guys. Aye. We can use the community benefit fund for this, I believe. Okay, good.
That
So
was
the
with-
motion was made?
No.
All right,
Is
okay.
there,
And it was accepted, it was passed.
is
okay.
there a
Yeah.
the rocket docket today? Is there a motion to
Approve the work.
to determine the proposed action to be type 2 and accept the proposals of anchors as currently on file with the village clerk, and expenditure of the amount up to $24,000?
So moved.
Moved by trustee Sobel, seconded by trustee Hope. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
$705 Middle Neck Road facade review. Do we have anybody from 705? Sure. Okay. Who's this?
I'm the architect of record with C3D Architecture. I have some samples here to show
Your name?
as well.
Your name,
Dan-
sir?
It's the first name is D-A-M-I-R, Dan S-C-H-I-C. Basically, this proposal is really just about facade renovation. There is no extension, there is no vertical, there is no horizontal or vertical extension at all. We are just wrapping the facade to be more economically viable, I think, for new tenants, and it has to look more interesting. So what we did here, this is the existing. Basically, as you can see, existing is not really so interesting. It's almost obsolete. What we did, we cut the corner. I don't know if I can point to it. Sure. On the right-hand side of that corner, we cut it 10 feet. Okay. Thank you. So what we are doing here is, as you can see on the first floor, there's an entrance here already, right? So this whole thing is really not load bearing. This is just a dead weight which is sitting on this beam here because there is nothing holding it here. So we spoke with the engineer, and these are 2 columns. So what we are doing, we are making these columns a little bit smaller, extending it all the way up and opening the whole corner here, and then going to this side up to 10 feet, up to this window, which is right next to the elevator, and we are doing the same symmetrical cut right here. The rest of the windows on this side, we are just widening it. We are not changing it. Currently it's 3 feet, we are making it 4 feet, and we are bringing it down to the floor so it looks more like a commercial office. We are not changing any of this facade. Facade is to remain in the sense of finish. But what we are doing, we are wrapping the whole thing with waterproofing paper, cornice is staying, and then we are applying metal paneling. It's called ACM. It's aluminum composite panel, and I'll show you the sample right here. I can hand it to you so you can see. Basically, it's 2 pieces of aluminum panel with a rubber insert in between. This is used for many of these car dealership, like Porsche dealership. I don't know if you've seen it, Mercedes dealership. And it doesn't need any maintenance. It doesn't fade on the sun, so it has a really good capacity. Concerning the front, so what we did, we wanted to make continuous facade for retail store. So it appears like a one continuous space. There is at the end part of this also this building which is currently a restaurant. It's not part of this application this time. This building is going to be amendment for the whole facade. Currently, it's not part of the application. At the very end, there's a building with a slanted roof. It's a part of the same zoning lot. It's currently a restaurant, but we were told at this time that we are not going to apply for it. It's going to come as the next stage.
What restaurant is
That, it was a sushi restaurant for a while. It was.
So only the outside Hill Tavern?
I don't know the name. Do you guys know the name?
It's not
Sushi,
open.
right, right.
Not
So
open.
that's not part of this. Okay. So here what we
What is the, sir?
Hicks Lane in Midland.
This is Hicks Lane, this is Middle Neck Road.
What is what is the material, the white material?
Okay. The white material is a material which is real veneer. This is real wood veneer, which is covered with plastic. It is a material which basically is a natural wood, and it's going to change in the sense of the coloring slightly, so it's not going to be just this uniform plastic look material. It might have also some veining in it. The reason for this material, for introduction of this material, was the ownership requested that the building looks more warm, so it doesn't look so cold just with metal paneling. So initially, the idea was that the whole building, I don't know if everybody can see, that the whole building is really metal, but then the ownership came in and they said, let's accentuate the corner, let's make this as a metal, because this is the part which everybody sees, and then the rest we will wrap with this cream material, which is real wood veneer. Now, the mounting is really on the, there's a panel, there's a vertical elements, and it gets tied into it. It just hangs on it. If you go back to original facade, can you do that? Okay. So we have not touched the facade in the sense of removing any of it. We are just wrapping the whole thing, even the corners, with the same metal paneling. We need around 1.25 up to 1.5 space to add to the facade. Getting rid of this facade obviously will be too costly, and we just wanted to basically improve it thermally as well, because as soon as you put this metal paneling, they call it a ventilated facade basically. Behind the metal paneling you have a vertical element, and the reason for vertical elements holding the paneling is so the air can go through. So if there's any moisture, if there's any humidity, if any water go through, it gets ventilated. These are called ventilated rain screen facades. These are the best facades you can find in the world, really. So that will be the part of the second floor which is basically used for offices only. This is not used for retail space. It's going to be basically used just for offices. Concerning the retail space, we did change every single store. As you can see, the entrance into the stores was right there in the middle. Right there in the middle. And then if you go to the new rendering, we wanted basically to extend the exposure of the whatever they're going to sell within the store, so we put the doors on the side. So doors on the side, but because these windows are so big, we had to split it. So the cost is really not as high. We could do a large panel, obviously, but it becomes really expensive. It becomes really thick glass. All this glass is a thermal glass. Today, obviously, in New York State, there is an energy code, and energy code is the law. So we have to use this type of glass, which is basically glass, which has a thermal properties, almost, it cracked a little bit, but it doesn't matter. You can see what it is. It is a glass which has 2 layers, and inside it's a gas, argon gas. So it has a pure thermal properties. So we would use it also for commercial, for retail stores, but as well as the office space. Concerning this part, you see, if you go to new rendering, we obviously understand how marketing is important and how the signage is important for the building. So we created this band where, depending on the stores, either every store is going to have its own sign, or if it's one tenant, then they would have maybe one sign only, because there's no reason to, above every store, to put another sign. The address of the building, we can discuss about it. The entrance currently is here at the side, and there's an elevator right there behind it. So this will be really 705, depending on the ownership decision. The ownership is telling me that they would like to create a reception in this corner. So the entrance, because the stair is right behind an elevator, and this entrance on the side is fairly small to get to the offices above. So this corner would not be really, as I was told, a retail store. It would be basically reception. So people would come to receptionist, and we would have open stair to go to upper 2 floors, which basically would be open office space. It would not be divided in the little offices. In addition to this, in this band right here, we created a LED lighting. It's continuous LED lighting, which would be basically not only lighting up the street, but it would be obviously lighting the signage as well. Because these signs usually not as illuminated signs, because they are more expensive. They are just the signs which are applied to the metal paneling. Now we did create a little bit of design. We did create the lighting here and here. So basically, the whole building would really light up in the corner. Now, let's go back, please, to the original.
Before you go, just on that, those signs or the brown wrapped around, that is that popped out at all? Or
No, it's basically flush, but what is popped is these two elements like a frames. In addition to this, I don't know if you can see it here, but around every door, you see there is like a U-shaped channel. So there's a three-dimensional property to the paneling itself. You see that? So basically we have these panels, so it brings a little bit of shadow. That's the base. That's that granite base which you're going to go put on the bottom.
So those lights will light up the
right there, yeah.
sidewalk as well?
I believe it will. That's my opinion. Now, I don't know what the thing is, but in New York City, obviously, the stores are light up at night as well. In this case, I don't know if people light up, because all the light is really coming from the store itself.
Right.
And some people can leave the night light on it. It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, now the LED light's not so expensive, yeah.
Exactly. So by doing this, this part of the city would bring out so much more light. Right now, it's also very dark, I think. But I wanted to show you something which is not really maybe part of this application, but it just came to my mind when we were discussing all this other lighting. I want to show you this corner and all the wiring, what it's doing right in this corner, and really making this building not looking as nice. Let's go back to the photo. Yeah. I mean, you can see this nightmare of these wires all over the place. The other one. Yeah, this one. Yeah, that's the panel which is knocked down. The pole. That was one mentioned before, and there were no cameras taking out the photo of that. But that's the one which is leaning, right? That you want to replace. Now, this is up to city to decide. But when I was looking at the building itself, this really bothered me here. This looks so sloppy. All the wires. Obviously, take a look at this. All these wires, and they are really ruining the look of the building itself. Now we are spending the money all this on this metal paneling and everything else about LED lighting, and now in the way you have this stuff. I mean, the most ideal thing would be obviously to have it underground, but that's just my suggestion. Looking at the building itself. Okay, let's go back, please, to. I want to, if you can see this. You see that little parapet wall at the end?
No, the next one.
That one, you see, we did extend this up. We added that up to 3'6", and the reason for that was really proportion of the store. And I'll show you when you go back to my rendering.
Is the owner willing to bear the cost of burying the wires?
That I didn't discuss with him. I was looking at this today in my office, and I was looking at this. I told my guy to print the existing, and I looked at the existing photo. I said to myself, look, I mean, if I place that here, I mean, you would have a totally different view, because it's not just a pole. It's all this wiring in front of here. They go in every direction. They go over the street. You know what I mean. I mean, you've seen how it looks like. So you see, this portion, this height would be really the same as that height. And it would give this a little bit, in my opinion, more proportional and symmetrical look. As you can see, just to repeat, granite base black. These panels, I think the owner selected a bronze color, which is a little bit like a brownish dark. I don't know if I showed you've seen it. And this is a beige color. Obviously, these panels, depending how we're going to divide it, they're going to vary in color slightly because it's natural material. If you go to this website of Prodema and you look at their product, it looks really beautiful overall in the building. And the variation is less if the panels are smaller. If the panels are bigger, then variation is more. In original design, which I think the ownership gave it to you, we did create the metal paneling. I don't know if I have mentioned this as well, but you have it here as a record, so I have to mention it. In original rendering, we had this whole corner from here to here wrapped in a metal. By doing this, this whole facade would be one metal facade. But the owner advised me that he wants this side, because we were a limit of how much we can go this way. It was 10 feet. He advised me that he wants 3 division sections here and 3 division sections here, so they match visually, right? And that would change if we add it this way. But what it does, in my opinion, obviously the ownership is going to decide what they want to do. Maybe I shouldn't mention this, but I want to mention it because you have this original rendering in your record. It was given to you. It was given to you. The ownership had left it here. You have it, right? So if you go to another rendering, I'm just going to accentuate this statement. If you go to my second rendering, there's another rendering. They gave it to you. Okay, I'll bring it. I have a paper rendering. Let me have that paper rendering, Josh. I mean, like all architecture, it's all personal, and people see it differently. But let me just show you this. I'm going to put this on here. See what happens here to me, personally. You see how it does not go to the end. You see, this is one volume. And you guys can see as well, I guess. This is one volume, and then there's a return. By breaking it here, you would have this awkward condition that this piece of metal is abutting the wood, and there's no clear division there in the sense. It doesn't look to me natural. The ownership likes it the other way, but because we gave you the other rendering, I think it's fair to discuss if you would like this to go all the way, and then do the return here in metal, which is visible off Middle Neck Road. And then basically we are wrapping this in wood as well, and we are wrapping the other side too, on the other side. So that would be that condition, which in my view, because also of the lighting, you see how the lighting goes only to here, then stops. But this is one volume. This one volume should be treated as one volume. Cornice is also cut. You see that?
Yes.
So it's not natural cut in my opinion.
So do you suggest, I mean, I saw that. I was going to ask you what you're doing with lighting on the other side of the building, or is going to just...
Okay, so on the other side of the, you mean on the other side where
No,
parking
on
is?
this, the side
this
that you
side,
show...
right here.
No, the one that you're showing now, on
On
the south...
on this side right here,
that
there's no
side.
lighting there at all. No lighting there at all. Because the lighting would be basically,
And you have a beautiful material there. I mean, do you think that you want to put some lighting on it?
I mean, I don't really see the need because it would be just lighting this roof. What
No, it's going to light the wall that is going up.
The second floor.
basically
The down
well,
lighting,
but
the
if
same lighting goes wrap around.
yeah, we could do that
Go
by
all the
just
way.
running this way,
Right,
light all the way, and this light to here, and then maybe ending there, and maybe.
Right.
But there's, you see how this thing, we had to create this. It's almost like a box, metal box. I have a whole construction document they given to the city already, where this box contains the lighting. It's lighting which, you know, this can last for 20 years. This lighting, it's LED lighting. So, so that box, it also creates a aesthetical element, right? Because it creates all these shadows. So, with all intents and purposes, obviously, we can run it. And in the original rendering, we had it where we ran this through, if this is a metal, and we had the lighting going through. Now, if you say you want to light this block as well, we can obviously do.
You don't have to continue the same lighting. You can have a different lighting for that side. Just
Maybe we could do
one
that.
top lighting go down, just so you can accentuate the wall.
You see, originally, the only lighting we had was here.
Right. No, I think that's an amazing thing that you put two other lighting on top.
Yeah, because then this becomes almost like so much more rich looking and more expensive looking. Obviously, the whole point is to attract people to come in and rent the space. That's all about this. And that's why we made it almost to beautify the facade, just to say it that way. And we created also, obviously, these, if you look at the original windows here, they are very small windows and they don't go to the floor. And we made it 4 feet wide and bring them to the floor, so the whole thing looks a little bit more symmetrical.
As far as the sidewalk, what are we doing with the sidewalk?
Well, sidewalk is not part of this application, but sidewalk would be done obviously as a separate filing. Sidewalk, obviously in New York City as well, they call it builder's payment plan, where you have to file with the city in order to show that the slope is maintained the same, there are no tripping hazards.
Right, because we're changing the sidewalks from concrete to the pavers.
How you want to do pavers? Is it granite pavers or precast?
Brick pavers.
Brick pavers.
Red
Oh, that's
brick
beautiful.
And I
that's
think if
beautiful.
they're doing that, I think it's, you know, they should go ahead and...
Less than the granite pavers.
Say again?
Less than the granite pavers that they have.
Well, this
I
was
don't know
really
if it's
concrete. We
granite.
didn't touch
Right
this.
now it's not granite.
This-
In the picture it is.
On the picture it is, yeah, but I don't know. But
Well,
that's,
this was really concrete paver, but it's just
Right.
rendering, so
Right.
it's concrete. This floor, this sidewalk was not changed here.
Right,
It
no,
looks
but
a little bit better
usually-
than in real life, but it's rendering.
I think that's what we've been doing. Anyone who comes in for, you know, any kind of facade change, we ask them to also change that, because if he wants to really upgrade it, I think that would definitely do it a much nicer.
I absolutely agree, because it's that also feeling when people walk on it, it's a different feeling.
True. Yes. Rebecca, no one's going to hear you if you don't speak up.
Okay. I have a question about the lighting, and I realize your purpose. Thank you for explaining it. There's a difference between lighting that draws and lighting that blinds. And I happen to know this corner, and I've walked it, I don't know, for decades, and it really isn't really dark at night. So I think that the lighting really is to invite people. And I think that there's a moment when you don't step over, and I don't know what that moment is. I'm just saying that at some point, you put lighting around the bottom, and then you start adding lighting, and you just become, I don't know, Piccadilly Circus. You become something else.
I understand your point, and we can discuss that, but in this case, it's not going to be that part, the type of a circus in sense of building. I don't think so. Because
I wasn't saying, I was
no,
saying
I
the
got your
choice,
point.
yeah.
I got your point. But this lighting could be dimmed as well, so you can really make it stronger or lighter. By the way, we can bring the color rendition there as well for certain holidays. We can bring it become maybe green light or whatever the light is for certain holidays, right? So this would be feature for the whole building to be more inviting. Currently, the building looks kind of obsolete. It's hard to rent, and therefore the ownership were forced to approach us because we did some work in Great Neck already. We are doing 15 Bond Street. We are the architects for F.E. Namdar for all his buildings. So
15 Bond?
yes.
Good, okay.
So we did that building. It's finished now. It's almost finished.
Okay.
So basically, I think, considering the fact, there is a bakery store right there, not very far away from this, and that bakery store has a very similar finish, and I happen to like that bakery store because it has a very modern look, and it's inviting, and I think it would be almost a across the street. You are creating almost like a city center with some type of look which is going to be more appealing, more modern. I mean, I could have put a brick here. I could put many things here. But when I saw that bakery building, and actually Effie Number told me, go see this building. He told me Mayor likes it. Basically, then I thought maybe this would be a really appropriate thing to do. And I think that people will be more inclined to rent in the building which looks more appealing, more modern, more chic.
I don't think anyone would disagree with you on that. The important thing for us is that the village has 4,000 KLED bulbs all over the streets, and some of us have light in our homes all night long. And that side there, faces residential area. So I think that it has to be sensitive to, there's some kind of a balance between making it inviting and making it imposing.
Got you. So basically what happens is you can put a timer, sensor, and a timer. So 6 o'clock at night, they all dim.
Yeah.
They adjust this little.
It's just beautiful. Thank you.
And we would be basically get a lighting designer to advise us how to dim the light and how to make them not to be bothering the neighboring buildings. In New York City, you're absolutely right. If you have a residential building, they don't allow illuminated signage on the residential building. Because some people don't sleep at night and they look at this, and it bothers people, and we understand it. For a hotel, you can put it in, but for residential building, you cannot put an illuminated sign at all.
The lights appears to be that is shining downwards, not outwards.
It really shines downwards. So, but what we would do in the reality is, when we build this, we would do a mock-up. We would get a manufacturer who's selling actually I know the guy, he's also a lighting designer. We would do a mock-up and see how it works during the day, how it works during the night, how could dim it, and how not to bother the residential tenants on that side. The ownership told me for reason just to make this part of the building more appealing, more warm, and these people look at the building that they see it's not just this metal. And it's fairly large facade if you think about it. If you remember, this portion was rounded. Getting a round metal panel would be also very expensive. You could do it, but I think, in all honesty, that by opening this more, this is going to be much wider when this open is that this cut-off corner, it's not 45 degree, but almost 45 degree, that is going to create this, that it respects two sides of the street. It respects the lane, Hicks Lane, and it respects the middle neck road at all. Also, and then when you go there, you want to see what is in this building.
You're not putting any lights on the Hicks Lane side?
On the Hicks Lane side, it was only here.
All the way, though?
All the way to the end, yes.
Okay. It's low, though. No, I think it's nice. Even if they put one higher, that is...
I think it's a beautiful job, but what do you think?
Sorry?
What do you think of what he said?
You're talking to his well.
Extending the metal panel.
Wait, 1.5 inches?
No, to cover the middle neck road volume.
You want to continue it all the way, the metal?
My opinion, my opinion was, and it's somewhere in the building, in the record, I think, Joshua, you have that rendering on the phone? I wanted to see it.
No, but it's an awkward transition.
It's awkward transition.
It's a flat surface, and you're going from metal to wood.
It's not really metal, it's more of a...
No, it's metal. It's metal and wood.
I'll show you. I'll bring it over to you so you can see.
It felt like tile, you know.
No.
See, it doesn't look, here when he's looking at it, it doesn't look that it's the same. It looks like it's going in.
The little square is...
What I'm talking, what I'm saying, this is one volume.
To me, it seems like there's one step in and then another step in.
Brian, could I have the
flush?
That one, thanks.
So when you go to architectural school, you treat the one volume one way. You don't cut it like this.
What did you
Unnatural.
guys think? What was the reason?
One of the buildings said 1 to 3 side division, that's in three windows division on the other side.
This is supposedly not...
And he felt that he wanted it this way.
You know what, it doesn't have a cold...
This was
I know
original.
a
Here.
quality metal, but it doesn't, to me, it looks like...
No,
It is. You see the edge?
No, I see
You
it.
see how
It's very...
it goes all the way to the end.
But do you care if it looks like that?
Why is this doing this?
Because right now, on the right-hand side, cover.
Well, so he's doing two...
It's not symmetrical, but you don't really experience.
Why can't it be two here?
Because we couldn't go because we had that window there.
I don't...
No, can you make this into this?
that corner.
Yeah,
Meaning
this
these
is-
two
I
to
think
put on
it
that
would
side.
end
No,
there.
you don't have to
I know,
do
but
it.
the owner.
Ah, you mean just two
One,
divisions?
two,
Yes.
and then this is gonna be exactly like this, like, you know.
Yes, we can do that.
And then it's
Absolutely.
not gonna look like anything.
Yes, we can do that.
What do you suggest?
You see, right now they have, not
Three
this
and
one.
three.
So it has this, right?
this is-
These two, this is not this
Oh,
one.
this is the
It has this, and then they have the middle one,
Right.
and then this one is three. So I said, make these three into these two, and then
And
it
it's gonna look
becomes,
the same.
then it looks the same. You just don't have two on this side, you have one, two, and one, but it looks the same size. I think this is ugly, this is a little bit, not ugly, I wouldn't say ugly, but this is a little bit weird.
Yeah, we can
Because
divide this
three,
in two. Yes.
And then 3, 1, 2, 2. So you can do 2, 2, 1, 2.
But do this volume as
Yeah.
one volume. You don't cut it. You don't cut it unnaturally. See, if you move, it comes to the end.
Yeah,
See, I have another rendering which he's going to show you now, which is going to give you really the whole thing. What am I arguing for? Here, you see, the whole volume is now enclosed, and then
Oh,
there's
so
a
you're saying
return.
that go
You
all
see
the
how
way-
that looks like now?
This looks much better.
Much better.
And this goes around, wraps around all the way.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I think this looks
I
much
think we
better.
should do that.
Mhm.
I changed it.
And I think if you go with the light all the way to here,
Yes.
and then you can go, you can
That's
just
the
put
back.
one light here down, and that's it. So you can give an accent to this light as well.
Now it's a natural volume.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I'm so glad that you like it. Look, I did all the drawings. I'll change it just to make it better.
Okay, but I think if you're looking for an approval, I think you want us to say that this is what we are approving?
Yes.
Can we do that?
I mean, if
Can we say that
owner
we're
is
going
here
to
as well,
approve-
Peter,
Yes.
do you agree with this?
Oh,
You
you're
don't-
here. Hi.
We could approve it subject to doing that.
Right, because we have the, do you know which one we're talking about, Peter? No. Do you wanna show it to her? So, because we don't wanna approve it and then she doesn't like it. I don't own it, if I owned it. Huh? Do
Can
you
you
wanna
email it?
email it to him?
Yes.
Okay, and then he.
Basically, you do have the same, I know, it's not in the office here, it's the same rendering.
Yeah, well, I mean, we have this one up, so if you just send it to him now, he can put it up right away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Carl Abraham, 3 Baker Hill Road. The structure that you have and proposes
Could you pick up
much
the microphone?
Pick up the mic.
Just lift
much
it.
nicer than the existing structure. We all agree to that. I have a question. You mentioned an open office upstairs. Is this a new concept? Because I'm just concerned about what kind of a professional would come in and have an office in an open office.
So basically how it works is not really one, the trend is now, like the work does it. Basically, you have a little cubicles. Each cubicle is 5 by 10. And each cubicle gets a glass front. They share the receptionist, they share the printing and copying. So each gets leased, let's say $700-800, whatever it is, but it's not one tenant. It's a system which is already used in Great Neck, where people rent their small offices.
This concept has been used for decades throughout New York City.
Yes.
Okay, and if you go down on East Shore Road, the big building where it has a lot of offices in it is similarly set up where they have a lot of different professionals. But this is a completely open office, and I don't know whether you're going to attract the type of professional that you think you're going to have in more offices where you have traffic and close to transportation and everything else. The other question I have is, over the years, these stores, please understand that I'm not against any type of new buildings and structures going up. But the questions that concern me is the fact that making something more attractive is not going to bring in business to, I don't care what you open up in that area, there hasn't been stores that have been successful or businesses successful.
Absolutely.
And not only in years, how about decades?
Exactly.
And the restaurant you're talking about, and you mentioned a restaurant, it's a local bar at the end, I think.
It was all the way at the end.
Yes, it's a local bar, it's not a restaurant.
So it's closed.
So the question is this the type of structure that will bring in people that will rent and people that will visit? I question that.
Basically, you're absolutely right. That's always question. But this application is not about that.
Thank you.
This application is really about the facade. We are not talking anything about the inside. We are not enlarging the building. We are not changing anything inside. That's going to be another application. This is just to change and upgrade, revive the facade itself.
Thank you.
And who's going to be tenant, who's not going to be tenant, we don't know.
Well, then I agree, that looks a lot better.
Thank you.
How are you doing? Sam Yellis, Holly's Lane. Am I just asking about what you're talking about, the revision? Making the brown part all the way to the end on the right
Yeah,
there?
he's
Not
send-
all the way to the end, to the end of the
he's
first
sending
volume.
the email.
We're going to
put
get the
it up.
picture. We're going to get a picture now.
Like up to here.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
And,
and
we
wrap
do
around.
return on that
So
side.
does that affect the symmetry of like 3 column wides on the left and 3 column wides on the right? Like that would be 4 and 3?
It does, but you're never going to experience it at the same time because one is facing middle Link Road, but the other one's facing the other side. So you're never going to see it. But this,
When
if you
you're
cut
looking catty corner.
yes.
All right.
And the building's not symmetrical.
You're not getting the
The
email?
bus stop that stops right outside on that corner, that's going to stay.
That's going to stay. That's not the part of this application. No.
Bus stop, you said?
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
They
Well,
can't
you
change
don't
the bus
travel
stop.
by bus.
I know, but nobody came here with an application to remove a bus stop.
No, I'm just asking if the bus stop will be staying there.
How would this
Why
gentleman
would
know?
not?
Yeah. What we are doing here is really there's existing building and we are putting new, enlarging windows, changing windows, and putting metal panels on it. That's the whole about this application. There's nothing else.
What
No
kind-
more parking. None of that.
How many stores going from one end all the way round Hicks Lane, which will...
It's the same number as used to be. Depending on the tenant, it might be, let's say it's a medical office. They might rent the whole thing. Or if there's a need for, basically it's open space, it's open to be divided as per tenants.
No, I mean the actual stores.
That's what he
gonna
said.
be for
It's,
retail?
yeah, it's the same as it is now. No change. Basically taking existing window and putting new windows in the same place. We are not raising, enlarging, none of that.
The stores that you want to bring in, retail, what kind of stores? A
Yeah,
medical office
McDonald's.
isn't a retail.
Not, it's not part of this application. We don't know. Whoever is interested will find out. That's the ownership question. I'm here to show the look of the new facade and to see how you react to it, if it's appropriate for the city or not. And this is actually this shows basically to the gentleman. It shows how this extended to the side.
Actually, you keep saying city, we're a village.
Village,
We're
sorry.
not a city.
But you see, when we divided this in 3, you see, this side and this side, it's the same. You see, that's
It's
the
the
same
same size,
dimension.
right, yeah.
Right, so if I put this 2, it's going to be
gonna
wide.
bigger, right.
Yeah, so
So I think
this is really how it should look
looks
like.
fine.
Yeah.
Okay, and I am concerned also, like the gentleman just said, about the open office space. If it's going to be just one big open space, I can't see more than one tenant because you wouldn't want to be having your desk next to somebody else.
Gene, the way many offices work now,
Oh, I know.
because
They
it's
rent
expensive,
spaces.
they just rent a desk, and
Yes,
that's it. They
But
put,
there's dividers usually.
well, that's not up to, that's the inside. This is only the outside.
We're going to get back to the interior later. This is just the facade so you can start to work.
Okay, and is it the same owner that was going to put up the,
I believe
you
so.
know, the
I-
assisted living place?
But we don't know
Or is this
how
a
many
new owner?
owners and that, I don't know.
I have no idea the number of owners or any of that. I know who hired me to do drawings. It was Bira who hired me, and then I wrote the contract, and she gave it to somebody to sign, and there was a lawyer who signed it, by the way. So.
And the check cleared.
Yes, exactly. Check clear. So it's all good. I came over, and so it's a long ride for me. driving from Jersey City.
Ooh, jeez.
Good luck.
Okay, any other comments?
No, I love
So
it.
are we okay with this one?
Yes.
And wrapped around, and the lights, and the only thing is, would you consider just changing the sidewalk?
Favors.
Or you want to run it by, well,
It's a lot of sidewalk.
it's a lot of sidewalk.
Change it from concrete to brick.
To pavers.
That's what we've been doing everywhere.
You don't like work?
Bricks come loose and people trip.
Well, if you do it right, it shouldn't come loose.
We could talk to them about that, I guess.
At a
Make it
different time?
subject. They're gonna wanna do the restaurant part, so they're coming back to us anyways.
Yeah, the back, this is really the last portion of the site, that one. There's a tenant there already, I was told. And we will apply, I was thinking not to do a metal panel there, but we'll get to that. It's gonna be amended.
It's a big site.
It's gonna be only wood panels on that restaurant, without metal paneling, I believe. But we will get to that, we have to draw it. We have to see how this is gonna look like. But that's not really part of this application. That's something which we can discuss further as we go.
Okay. I would like to see the sidewalk changed, but okay, I understand that it's not part of the application. Okay. Any questions, comments? No more comments from the public?
With that being said, is there a resolution of the Board of Trustees to determine that the proposed action constitutes a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA, and that the requirements of Chapter 575, Article 30 of the Village Code have been sufficiently complied with, and hereby approving the amended application pursuant to the aforementioned provision of the code?
I'll move the resolution.
Moved by Trustee Sobel, seconded by Trustee Hope. All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
But we're gonna put in the motion that it's this rendering.
Yes, and when I reference the amended application, I mean the amended presentation with the extension of the metal portion to
Onto
the
Middle.
end of the Middle Neck Road side.
Right. I think,
I can't sufficiently describe that anymore.
Do you wanna meet with Vita now? I mean,
yeah, we'll talk to her.
I mean, I don't wanna discourage people.
I know, exactly. I know, I hear you. We'll see.
We're gonna chase away something good.
Yeah, you're right, you're right. Can new business C?
Did you vote on it?
They may choose to do it on their own,
Okay.
so it looks nice.
I know, it definitely is gonna look nicer.
733 million.
Um,
By the way,
Nope, not
maybe
that.
we could use some community benefit from it to help defray the cost.
I was thinking about that also. We have to see how we can do that. I mean, if they're willing to put some planters, like that planters.
Yeah,
would be-
we could,
Peter.
what, to do the sidewalks? No, no. No, community benefit. Yes.
Ferris wheel?
Wanna tell Vita?
Ferris wheel? Well, we can talk to her.
Okay.
Call me afterwards.
Okay.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks.
Wishing well. All right.
Can we move to the next item, Mayor?
Okay. Let's move on.
As you know, Windows 7, there's a sunset date set for it for next Monday on the 13th. And the Microsoft is recommending everyone to change their Windows to Windows 10 at least. Currently, the computers that we have mostly are changed. We have 7 computers left in the Village Hall that are still running on Windows 7. The hardware on them are not upgraded and up to date enough that can handle Windows 10. 3 of those 7 computers are operated by the court, and therefore they will be provided by New York State court system, so we don't have to buy anymore. But 4 out of those 7 are the responsibility of the village to upgrade. We have received 2 codes, one from our current IT contract, and the other one we have a government account with HP. I share the HP specification with our IT people, and they recommended that we actually go with them, with the HP, rather than going with our current IT. The current IT provider gave us a 729, 730 per computer, and the HP gave us a price for $674.15 for each computers, which is about $75, I believe $75 less, $50 less.
Was their recommendation based solely on price?
No, the specifications are the same. Actually, HP is slightly better than what Dell had to offer.
Okay.
The question I have, I remember a while ago when Windows went from, I think it was Windows 8
8
to
to
X.
10, to
Was
10,
it
to
to
10.
10, was it, that there was an issue?
No, no, there's no issue.
No, there was one time that there was an issue. The
There
X.
was.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Yeah,
You remember?
XP went to.
The XP was the issue,
It was
right?
all messed up.
This is
Right.
Windows 10, and they have to
And
be.
there's no issues with Windows.
It's
We already
stable.
have Windows 10. All
Right.
the
Very
computers,
they're all working.
all the computers in the village are running on
Your
Windows 10.
laptop notwithstanding, it's very stable.
Yeah. Well, mine didn't.
Your computer, there's a IP conflict because we added a printer on the network. I believe that took over that IP. We're going to change the IP address on that from
Okay.
static to dynamic. That should solve the issue.
Okay.
But if requesting if the board could approve, please, 4 PCs to be bought from HP.
And how much will the software cost to upgrade them?
The software comes with it.
For $675?
$675 will be a
674.15.
yeah, free shipping.
Wow. No taxes.
You don't pay taxes. So it's, it's a great deal.
Buy extra.
Okay.
With that being said, is there a resolution to approve the expenditure of up to $3,000 for the purchase of at least 4 computers from HP Inc. pursuant to contract proposal PM 20860 RFQ AGG?
So moved.
Moved by Trustee Hope, seconded by Trustee Sobel. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
The next item is
Nice specs.
The request by Mr. Barback, who owns 199 West Shore Road. They went through a planning subdivision, and it was approved by the county. Mr. Barback is requesting that his new parcel should be numbered 7 Dwight Lane. I have to show you, if you'll give me one moment, I have the map up here. Okay, I have to get up for this to explain it to the board, please. Just give me one moment to situate it here. Okay. This is Steamboat Road. This is the Dwight Lane that goes all the way through to West Shore Road. This is the dividing line for Kings Point. Currently, this is the property owned by Mr. Barback. These are all owned by different residents. This one is numbered number 2, Dwight Lane. This one is number 4, Dwight Lane. This one is number 199 West Shore Road. These two were just subdivided. This one has a frontage to Radcliffe, and this one has a frontage in Dwight Lane. This is the property that
When was that subdivided?
I don't have the exact date, but it was very recent. They just started construction on these. properties. There is no, currently, this one is numbered in Radcliffe, and this one is still called 199 West Shore Road B or C. This is the property that we are talking about, and there is the new divider line goes from here through here and through here. And the part of the Dwight Lane, one step before that, Dwight Lane going from here to here is owned by this property.
It's a right
Now,
of way.
it's a right of way, yes. Now, but they pay taxes for it. Now, this property was divided through this line here and through here and here. So we are talking about this property, and Mr. Barbak is asking for 7 Dwight Lane. Now, this one is number 2, this is 4, this is 199 West Shore Road, B or C, this is 199, this is 199, this is number 6, and
Yeah, how
this
is
one.
it- How is it even on the other side of the street?
This is, I don't know. These two are already numbered on a steamboat.
So they're all
This
even
is
numbers. There's 2, 4, 6.
2, 4, 6, 199, 199, 199, and this is the new property.
So why not make it 8?
He's right. That's exactly the way the street is numbered.
Because if you make it 8, it's opposite an even numbered house.
But the 6 is the one that's wrong.
We understand that. But
So if
we're
you
not
put
gonna
the
change the
6 here, now, I mean, if
8.
6 is on the other side of the street, maybe you can name the 7 on the other side of the street. There was an issue with Kings Point Police because West Shore Road is in Kings Point, and if somebody calls and says 199 West Shore Road, the Kings Point Police will respond. But if you tell them it's 199B or C, Nassau County Police will respond. So if you put it at a number, I'm not saying what number, Dwight Lane, then the Nassau County knows Dwight Lane, most of it is in the village of Great Neck, and they will respond.
What number is that one?
This,
No, the one that
This?
it's being subdivided. It's 7, right? The one on the west, right? That
It's
one.
199.
Right.
199.
That's 199.
these 3 properties, this,
West Shore.
this, and this,
Are all called
are
199.
still coded 199 West Shore Road. I'm just kind of,
Who named these?
not me, I don't know.
Dwight.
Mr. Dwight, maybe.
Dwight Schrute.
2, 4, and 6 are very different types of properties than the other properties. I'm going to ask Abraham if he would agree. 2, 4, and 6 are very different types of properties. That's the old Great Neck part of the roadway, and the rest of it is more larger pieces of property.
That would subdivide it at some point.
Right, but it is absolutely crazy and should be straightened out because there's no way that an ambulance or a fire company can find its way there if the drivers knew.
If you would like to see it on the paper, this is Dwight Lane. This is the subdivided property that is currently 199, and this is the new parcel that requested to be.
Are there any other numbers besides 2, 4, and 6 on Dwight?
No,
So it's 2, 4, and 6. That's the only. Those are
that's the only 3 properties numbered
With
at Dwight Lane.
Dwight Lane.
This is Dwight.
But he doesn't want to
Yes,
have
that's
an
Dwight
even
Lane.
number across the street from an even number. Is that
Yeah, but
right?
I think maybe all the numbers are even.
What's going on here?
Yeah,
Why
I
is-
feel
Maybe
like
the
It makes
fathers
it-
who
I don't-
came in.
It doesn't bother me to make it 7.
I mean, number 8 is.
Why is the street in his property?
I feel like it is
Yeah,
wrong
so,
because
so I
He's a little lucky.
shut it off so not to bother people.
We can give him the choice.
This part
he's gonna choose that.
is all one
Yeah.
tax. But
He
the
needs-
street, yes, and it's owned by this tax lot. Now, under subdivision, they allowed it to take part of this
You what?
and give it to this. And include, so he will be responsible for paying taxes on the street, not to own it, not to build anything on it, but just be
Yeah.
responsible for this part of it, just to pay the
Abraham, we
taxes.
missed somebody on the agenda.
We skipped over.
We'll finish this now, but
What do we skip?
yeah.
Oh.
This is one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, right.
I was under the impression that Louis is not coming. It was discussed with Louis.
Yes.
That's why.
I don't know.
They're waiting.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I don't have an issue with the number.
It doesn't bother me.
My concern is really for the emergency, you know, like, if someone's looking for the address, and I feel like it's a double
They're
inconsistency
not gonna
by
find
making
any,
it.
if it's 8, then.
I mean, if they come from Great Neck side, they're going to see 2, 6, and they're expecting to see 7 on the other side of the street. I'm sorry, 2 and 4. They're going to be expecting to see it on the left side, but meanwhile, number 7 is on the right side of the street.
That's
Yeah,
why I think it should be 8.
number 6 is the
I think
one
we
that's
should rename
going
the
to get
street in the
screwed.
middle of the street.
It should be 8.
I feel like it should be 8, because if you make it 7, then they're confused about the 6 and the 8. So,
If you
either
all
the
know that it's
7,
all even numbers.
right, then at least you know that there's a
Maybe you
progression.
want to run by and see what it says.
Maybe, yes, that's what I want to say. If you would please table it, and then we can discuss it with Mr. Bauer.
Yeah.
Okay, table it, this please. Okay, I have to apologize. I skipped over one item D, Eco Park maintenance, because I was under impression that resident already spoke to Mr. Massaro regarding this. However,
Again, Dan Harwood, Strathmore, from the rest of the Strathmore group. We just want
There's
to.
only 4 residents now?
We brought all residents here because it's been going on for too long. The issue that we're having for this right now is the Eco Park. We spoke about it individually with some people up there. Is that it's becoming it's a danger, and we're having a problem with it consistently because children are going back there, young people are going back there, and there's always garbage, a mess. That we're worried about it. There's some people complaining about drugs and other things going on back there. There's no lights, and it was built by the prior mayor. I understand, so it's not under you weren't part of this in the beginning, and they assured us that it wouldn't be a danger, it wouldn't be an issue. Now I know, we all know for a fact, and we go up there. One is it's dark and it's scary. It could be, but it's also dangerous because the wood is breaking. So there's kids that are going up there, and I know for a fact that the wood's coming off, and there's splinters, and there's nails, and it's just a mess. And it's a point where we're really upset about it already because no one wants to take responsibility for this, and we don't know what to do. So that's a major issue, that something has to be done before someone really gets hurt. And we don't know who's responsible for it or what, but it's a problem.
What are the splinters? What are you talking about, wood?
So it was built, and it's a boardwalk behind, for people that don't know, I can say behind Strathmore, between Strathmore and like Beach Road, they built this boardwalk that it's all wood with metal wires coming through it, and the wood is coming off. There's actually pieces of wood coming off right now, and it's dangerous because no one can see back there. It's a dark area because it's covered by the trees behind the pump station, the water pump station. And it's just attracting a lot of nothing good. We've spoke to the police about it multiple times. They come, they do their searches back there at night. I call them. We actually go ourselves down there when the kids are hanging out there, and there's cars parked along the side there. So they were going to put signs for no parking. It doesn't matter that. It matters that kids are going to go back there at night, and they're during the summertime, especially during the summertime when the school's out. It's always kids back there, and there's always a problem. So we're having a problem. That's an issue, and that's just stretching over onto the park, the ball area, which is another issue that we have to talk about eventually. Is with that spot because people are going onto the park area, and we're having a problem with the open ball field in Strathmore because trucks are from the pump station. We're having issues with that it's not being handled. So the whole area is becoming a mess. We feel that way, and we need someone to, I guess, talk about the field. We have the pictures of the field as well. If you could just jump on that quickly. Okay. All right, maybe you want to just see this also. So we're seeing this go on near the pump station there's a Strathmore. We love it. It's a great place. And we see this, this is right in front of the water station, the pump station. You have the trucks coming in there and they're working on the pump station, I guess. And there you go, nice.
I spoke to the water department, the supervisors and the men who work on this pump station which is located, you see it in one of the pictures. They have to get in there periodically to pump that station. They have all sorts of problems with it. They told me that in the future years, they can't tell me when, they're hoping to shut it down and bypass it and go down to the main pump station, which is the big building on Bayview Avenue. However, in the interim, they have to bring these huge trucks onto the ball field, which is what you're looking at there, which there's no way they can do it without creating that kind of a problem. And what happens is the water company takes responsibility for that area in the spring. They'll come back and they'll have some gardener or landscaper come in, fill in those ruts. But during the winter, it's not only there, but it's on the edge of the property where the trucks pull up and park halfway on the street and halfway on the property, creating these indentations. Now, the problem is people walk their dogs and they fall down in the dark, and I've seen it because I live right there. I've seen them fall down walking their dogs because they don't realize there's ruts in the ground and you lose your balance and down you go. It's very dangerous. The water company guys are very nice. There's nobody that I can find fault with. They also told me that the reason they have to access through the ball field is because they can't get in through the eco park because there's 3 posts that were put there to prevent the cars from coming in. You could see it in that picture. The middle post has a key lock. So when the village comes and does a little bit of a cleanups, I don't know who has the key, they're able to bring a backhoe in there and a truck in there to clean. The problem is the water company apparently has a problem getting that key so that they can lift that post and possibly get their trucks in so they can access it through the eco park, which is, you could get to that pump station from the other side. They told me that there's a little bit of a controversy between them and the village. I don't know anything about the politics, the issue, I could care less. But that's what they told me was the reason why they can't bring the trucks in from the backside instead of driving across the ball field. So that's the picture we're coping with. And as residents in the area, we really don't know what to do about it.
Well, it would seem like the easiest thing is to share that key so that you don't get the rutting and then you don't have the problem.
Well, the key should be available at least for them to try to get the trucks in.
Yeah, Louis, so yesterday.
And just so you know, that bring up just so for another, because it's part of a community idea and we're one big community here. We'll explain.
Stacy Rapid.
Can we have everybody here identify?
There, she is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
She was.
Sorry. Stacy Rapp, I live in Strathmore. The other thing, just going back to the eco park for a second, is that it does get maintained sometimes, but it's very, very few and far between. Like you could go from it gets fixed in June and then it could be December so there's a long period of time. Like in the summer, I have little kids. They like to go back there. There's lots of trees. It's fun. They like to run it's a circle. It doesn't really go anywhere. But there's constantly garbage or other things going on. It's just not consistent. But the other thing I do want to bring up is behind that eco park, they put in this pretty path in honor of a boy in our neighborhood who died a number of years ago. And it is so overgrown now, his family could not even walk on it if they wanted to. And it was it just seems like the whole thing was done with good intention and then has kind of fallen by the wayside. So I don't know if there's a way just to get it into the constant maintenance of everything the village does, where, every other week somebody goes by or whatever it is, because it just seems like it's people remember and then it's forgotten for 6 months until one of us calls or something happens and it's put back on the radar.
So just to interject for a second, from what I heard, it was when they built this park, it was supposed to be maintenance free, meaning there was supposed to be no maintenance needed. It was eco-friendly, no lights, no garbage collection, no nothing. And
But they put in 7 garbages. Like, there's garbages all over.
There's garbages that put in the back there.
garbage cans, you mean?
Well, that's part of the.
And they're
It's
all
built
full?
in.
They're, yeah.
Garbage cans.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's built in.
It's
Sorry to
built
interrupt
into
you.
the boardwalk, but the word that you use is supposedly, and that's the key word. It was supposed to be maintenance-free. That was the original concept. I remember the money that was allocated to do this project, and ultimately, no one quite understands why it even came into existence, because it's very nice, it was very nice, but now it's more troublesome than being an attractive thing in the community.
If I would be able to take a poll, what would the people in the Strathmore would like to see happen to this park?
I think it would be nice if it was maintained so that you could use it, because it is a nice thing in theory. Like, my children like going back there and walking along it, and it could be really pretty and nice as a community thing to have. However, it always looks like such an eyesore. Half the time you can't even get back there because the grass is so overgrown that you can't even get there.
You would need to maintain it, and they would have to put lights in the back there, just for safety.
Lights at the end where the circle
Yeah,
is?
probably where the circle is, because it goes up all the way to.
There's no, there's no,
I mean, it's probably not possible to put lights all the way back there, but.
You know what, maybe we can use the,
LED?
not LED,
No, to
just,
go around.
no, right,
Like a
but,
border.
where would you get the light from? I mean,
No,
where would you
no.
get the electricity from? I'm just
The
saying,
power.
maybe we can have solar power.
There's power right here.
Yeah,
If
but
you could, we could run,
you have to go above, you have to go under.
This is the sign with the boy's name, just right, so Zachary's Path, it's just, that's where this is centered, right? Now you have this goes all the way straight back to where the water pumping station is. You go, like, right, so it's parallel, this is like a line.
So they could-
Cut the trees up
yeah.
as a line.
yeah. So we could discuss with,
And
our
this
deep,
was, like, do you see this wire separates the 2 lots in half, and that's, right, so there, in reality, which is another conversation about this, is that there's 2 lots there that probably could have to be built on, which we don't want, obviously, to be built on, and then taxes is another issue that we're trying to work out, something, hopefully to you guys as well, we get to talk about that, but there is electricity that goes near there.
Also, since we are, Bernard Goichberg from Strathmore.
President of Stratford.
Thanks. The power lines, though, are very close to the ground. I think there are weeds and other plantings that have grown around the power lines there, so they're about 4 feet off the ground, covered in
No,
weeds
those
that
are not
might be
power lines,
dangerous.
by the way. The bottom ones are not power lines.
Oh, whatever is
The-
hanging lower, I don't know what that is.
Right, I don't know, they're cable lines.
It's a power line that
Telephone
goes,
cable.
that goes up Old Pond Road and brings power, telephone and power.
The telephone is the lower ones, the power is the higher one. The one all the way on top is, that's power.
We had them come and pull up, I think, the telephone lines, I think, at like maybe 4.
Maybe it's telephone lines, but there are lines about 4 feet up from the ground.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we can lift those up and cut the greenery.
Those are cable things. For the cable.
so how do kids play there if it's 4 feet off the ground?
How do they, well, no, the kids can play here, and then the kids run back there, and that's where the danger is
Oh,
back there.
okay.
They kick a ball.
What we also would like to talk about is actually working with you guys and giving this to Great Neck Park District, and let them maintain it, and we'll open it up to the public. Because we're having an issue paying the tax on the property anyway. Because what's happening with the trucks back up over here, they make a mess, and then the back here is a problem. So if we did something with you guys together, when we open this park up to Great Neck as a whole, and say, you know, hey, we stop, instead of us going around trying to collect dues from everybody, in Strathmore, 144 houses, we just work something out, you know, we maintain, because we put a brand new park in here ourselves.
You know we're not the park district.
I know, but we just,
Okay.
if we want to use, you know.
That's actually the question. Does this land belong to the village?
No, it belongs to the Strathmore Association.
So ask the
No.
park district if they will
They
take the
don't
park,
want to.
and they will maintain it forever.
They've done it, they've asked before, the Park District.
Doesn't mean it's a different leadership now.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a definitive answer, so I think that's an ongoing conversation that has to be had. And maybe we could,
Brand new,
Maybe we can help.
brand new
Mhm.
regime.
Yeah.
But that's another discussion, but
How did
this
they-
is yours, right? This is the right
That,
conversation.
yes,
Eco Park.
correct, correct.
So that's, it's not, it's when it's gonna happen, something bad's gonna happen back there.
See, I went there, I think, was it 2 years ago I went there? And the boardwalk is in a, you know, I don't know if it's the boardwalk that is as bad or the railing.
The railing is
I
bad.
don't know. It's
But
which
it
one
was
is
paved
worse.
all over the place. It was
Right, but
messy.
I think it's the boardwalk. Was it the boardwalk that had the nails coming, or the railing?
railing.
The boardwalk
Railing.
itself is okay.
It's the same
Material.
It's the same material.
All the same stuff.
Teak.
So it was not. I don't know. I don't know why they used.
It's not like it's like a. Yeah,
It's
like,
wood.
It's
not.
like
It's not
rainforest wood.
right.
It's not-
That's good stuff. No, it's not. It's not the. It's not the. It's not the hard softwood. Yeah.
So you
You
can
can see the
disassembling it?
splinters coming out.
I used to put these back, it's curious, and I took my fireplace, and it went up like that. I'm telling, I
Good
did,
for
and
building,
that's that.
because it will chips on its length, right? The chips, books.
Yeah, I don't think you want something like that. It's so
I don't know how much it's going to
But
cost
it's
to fix.
definitely rotting away.
I know, but the thing is, I don't know what the answer is. Answer is to rip the whole thing
Well,
off.
we get an estimate
But
for both.
is it to rip it off and put new one in? Rip it
Yeah,
off and put something that you can put on the ground so it's not above and you don't have the wood?
You have an issue, the reason why you have an issue because
It's water.
this
It's
goes straight
wetlands.
back,
It's
and right
wetlands.
on the right, going this way, on the right side, you have the water that streams out behind the,
It's
library.
wetlands. You can't walk.
So right now, the best situation that we think would be,
Please,
Yeah,
Rebecca.
that-
Rebecca, please.
The water
Rebecca,
the water is protected, it's wetlands, and the reason they built it above was because that is a protected area, and that's why the boardwalks was created in the first place, above the ground. You can't build on it because it's all wetlands, leading all the way back toward the library. I don't know if you're familiar with
Yeah.
how that whole area
Yeah.
lays out. The last time we were here, we were complaining about the fact that it's a great place to smoke pot, and the kids were using it, you know, and now it's sort of legal to smoke pot anyway, so it's not, we're not complaining so much about that, because honestly, I see them come and go, but most of the kids are not destructive, they're not noisy, they don't create havoc. They just park their cars, go back there, have their smoke, and leave. So that's where that has turned out. The police never come around. I've seen one patrol car in 5 years, and I live right adjacent to that park. So, you know, I'm aware of it, and I happen to walk dogs, so I'm out all the time. That's the nature of the situation.
Can you just show the trees on the other side? I don't know if you can put a light. No, the other side. Toward the, yeah. See, I'm thinking if you put a light just over there, just on that pole, on that utility pole.
so that would definitely help because it would lighten up the entrance to the park, right? So when I
Or you
go
can actually have, I don't know if there are houses far away.
across the street.
No, on the other side. Lawson Lane is the other side, but that's far away.
That's far away.
So if you put
Far
a
away.
flashlight, like a floodlight,
They have a
spotlight.
spotlight on the entrance of Strathmore Road, is it there all the time now, on Strathmore Road and Old Mill, right? They put one
So
up.
that we can use that. Is there any other pole? Can you just show that? See if there are any other poles there. No, not there. By the park. Yeah. So that's one. Is there any other one down to the left of it? No, to the other side.
There should be as well on this side, I can't see that.
There's one in the trees.
There's gotta be one. In the middle. If you go like that way. Because
The other way, the other way, the other way.
The other way. Because the reason why it's more, because if you follow,
Yeah,
this
that's what I'm
road
saying.
down,
If there should be another one on that side.
because the pumping station is right there, so this has gotta go, I imagine.
Yeah, I see it right there. So if you can put two spotlights.
Cut the trees over there, if they cut a little trees over there anyway.
I don't know. You know what happens when you cut trees. You know, you don't cut trees.
You trim
You
them.
gotta watch out about cutting trees. Don't touch trees.
All the rest of them are pocket parks I don't use. If it's in the Lakeville area, I don't go to that pocket park. If it's Waybridge, I don't go to that park. But the park district maintains pocket parks all over the community for segmented areas of the community. There's no reason why the Stratford Park has to be used by me. I can go to Memorial Field. I can go to Stepping Stone Park. So I think it's a reasonable
Can ask the
thing
park.
to ask them
They're aware of it.
to take over the maintenance of the park.
They're aware of it. I've spoken.
I
to
think
them
you should
recently.
speak to Frank, Tina, and Bob and see what they say. Yeah,
Yes.
either of them. I think they would be open to it. It is, you know, if I do agree, if you trim some of the bushes and put the lights up, I think that area can be lit without really any wiring necessary. All right.
Who's gonna give the okay?
But we can give the okay. We just have to talk to Louis to see how an anchor has to take a look at it. So
So if you give it an okay, should we go to Louis or Bob? What do you want to?
no, I think we should.
Yeah,
We'll talk to Louis or the
Brian.
anchor and see how we can get it done. I mean, I'm assuming that during the winter time is not so crazy, right?
No, but it's,
Right.
again, you have, when
Yeah.
the snow comes out, kids go back there because it's fun, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
people cut across the park as well to get to Lawson
Alright,
Lane,
there's a path.
so they go there at night as
Mm.
well, 9 p.m., etc.
Okay.
There's a path that leads from that entrance all the way up to Lawson.
People aren't scared of going in that wood.
I'm sorry?
That's scary.
They walk that at 12 o'clock at night. I've seen people come from
It's a shortcut to synagogue.
down.
Really?
It's a shortcut to the synagogue.
No, no, I've actually walked it. I know, but I walked it during the day, not at night.
It's very quiet. There's really nothing.
No light.
There's no light. But if
They
you
use a
go
flashlight.
there,
Yeah.
They walk with a flashlight. and
Whose
they
swimming
come
pool is
across
that?
and go back up to
That's the 18 Lawson Lane.
That's,
That was Margaret Rappaport's.
There's no light, you can't walk.
They closed actually, there was another path that they had, they closed down that. There was one that was originally for years, and then this family opened up another pathway.
That path has been there since Steve Cohen lived
Probably needed, it was a school.
there.
Boris, I think based on what I'm hearing, I think if we can come up with 2 lights over there, I just don't know what it's going to be to maintain the wood. I mean, that is going to be extremely costly.
No, no, not talking about the lights, talking about the wood on the deck, on the,
Yeah,
on
the
the
deck,
boardwalk.
the boardwalk.
We can talk to Louis about that, we can get estimates on it.
I think 2 floodlights would be great, if we can pull that off.
If we do that, you're okay with we don't touch the wood and the, or are you gonna
No,
come
the
back?
wood it has to be maintained.
Right.
I mean, is there a way to get that into the repertoire of things if somebody checks in
You
on?
see, I tell you that, based on what I saw last time, the entire thing needs to be ripped up and replaced by different material. That's not the material that's gonna last. I
Right.
mean, the material they used is really good for maybe 6 years,
Well, they
5
could use
years.
composite.
They didn't use composite.
No, they
needed
can-
No, they
They
need
need
it. That's what I
composite.
always
Right.
thought. They always should have used tracks.
What?
That's what they should have used.
It was,
We're not
natural,
asking
it was
you to
supposed to
invest
be
in
maintenance
the
free.
Yeah.
Yes.
And just
But
the
even,
Since before
yeah.
I got
Mayor
to the
Brawl,
board,
even if just for now until there's a better solution, they can just make sure that they're like consistently checking on it and maintaining it, just taking out the garbage, all that stuff, because there's garbages in the back and the garbage men are never checking back there.
Okay.
You know, and that it's not overgrown so that you can
Reasonable.
access it and that it's safe. Because it's still gonna be
It's reasonable,
used
it's all right.
until the decision on it.
Also, I'm afraid if you put LED lights on the wood itself,
Uh-huh.
someone's gonna yank it off. They're gonna destroy it. They can't reach the
Yeah,
light.
well, twice a week may be too much for that place, but you know, even if they go once a week, I'm sure they're gonna be more than happy. Yeah, I'm okay.
Thank you.
All right.
And the key.
And the key.
And the key.
I'm not sure if you're aware of any requests to obtain the key.
Right, so it may be that they, I don't know,
Yeah.
we just have to
Can-
say, here's the key.
Yeah.
So now, we can say we have the key.
No, we give them a license. We give them a license to go through, not an easement. They can't get an easement against the sovereignty.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll try to get the garbage and the lights, we're gonna talk about it, and as far as the maintenance of the wood, I don't know what we're gonna come up with, but we'll see.
And the key for the. water
Yes, I
department?
already said that.
All right. We'll see
Okay.
what happens, yeah.
All right.
I do have a question about, from the board. We do have a pond as well, and there is a,
It's for sale?
yes, you can have it free of charge,
What?
$1.
What the?
But there is a dead floating raccoon in the pond, so I'd like to know who can help us get it out of there.
Who owns the pond?
They do.
Would the park district be able to help us with that, or
We're not
can
the
someone
park
else
district.
fish it
I
out?
don't know. I mean, I don't know.
I think you should have Dan do it.
I'll put some waiters on him, no problem.
We should get the raccoon out.
David Dilmanian, 49 Strathmore. I just wanted to bring something up. I did call the 6th precinct a few times. We have an issue in the mornings and in the evenings with parents dropping off their kids to the North High School, and they use Strathmore as a shortcut to bypass Middle Link Road and Polo Road. They come in through Strathmore and they meander through Strathmore in the mornings about 7:55 at very high speeds. And these are people really not from Strathmore, from other villages like Redneck States, Salrock, and vicinity. And they just want to bypass that 45-degree turn. So they come in, they speed and I've seen them, take pictures of them, I've taken videos of them. They pass the stop signs on William Penn and what's that, the first road up?
You know, we don't have our own traffic enforcement.
I know. We just needed assistance. We called the 6th precinct many times, and we want to see if you guys could brainstorm and possibly we can get some speeding monitors there that could.
We actually asked. Do we have any?
The sales rep is supposed to give me all the. They had some sort of a conference. They were not able to bring it on time because of the 2 holidays that fell for the past 2 weeks.
Right. I also spoke to an electrical engineer, and he said that he may be able to do something that it would be a lot less as far as the cost, because the stop signs themselves are not that expensive. It's just when you put the light on. So he said he may be able to configure something that we can use for our, depending on the price, we may be able to actually use a lot more. So
what the board approved last time is not just for some stop sign with few LED lights around it. It is you're talking about the speed sign right now.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about that and the speed sign we have to order anyway.
The LED, it's the LED lights by itself. It's not so expensive. What's expensive is the mounting and the solar panel. The solar panel is connected to a battery that lights the LED, and that's what causes it to be so expensive. It's not just LED light that we can.
No, I understand, but the thing is, they may be able to configure something, but that has nothing to do. But as far as the speeding, I think we should probably call the 6th precinct and just give them this location. And again, it is on the record. We are saying that that area will be monitored, so please drive carefully. All right.
Do you want us to mow your lawn too? Come on.
Jeez.
About that Strathmore, many years ago, Mayor Kreitzman, as you know, lives right there on Pond Road, right on the corner there, by the duck pond, across from the duck pond.
No, he doesn't live there.
And the village, yes.
No, he doesn't.
I'm talking about a few years ago. And he decided that that area was just a mess and nothing there. So he decided to spend $250,000 from our park fund to do that area for the village, and it would be a village park. Therefore, the village would be responsible for it, and they would take care of the maintenance, etc. Where the playground is, that was strictly owned by, they had a couple of swings there, a little bit, that was strictly owned by Strathmore, not part of the village park.
Yes.
Being a village park meant anybody in the village of Great Neck could use that park. That kind of upset some of the residents because suddenly you get, especially on the Sabbath, people coming from Temple Israel, going and using the park. And you had all these people coming in. And they didn't quite like that. They did approach the park district to ask if they could have a new playground. They wanted new equipment, etc., etc. The park district declined from it because they said if Strathmore people owned that one section, the playground, the park district shouldn't be putting in a new playground there because of the liability. if anybody had an accident there, etc., it would fall on the Park District. That's why the Park District didn't want to get involved, because they wouldn't be owning that piece of land. But that we called it the road to nowhere, that wooden thing they built, that was Mayor Kreitzman's idea to have it look like that. But it is for the whole village of Great Neck. And of course, we did say, what's the point if we can't park? How do we, go into it? I guess you just walk into it. But I know if the if the Strathmore wants to get it opened up with the Park District, they have to expect people from the village anytime can use it. So they have to consider that. But it is a village park, village maintenance.
Right. I mean, you're
for
right.
village residents, not just Strathmore
No,
residents.
true. That we're talking about the eco park.
Yes.
Right. So the eco park everyone can use. The problem is not many
ball field
people.
is Strathmore.
Not many people from the other part of the village go to Strathmore because it's really right. It's if they don't know about it, there's no parking and whatever that is. As far as what they're asking is to ask the park district to take over the Strathmore ball field and the playground. That's up to the park if they decide to do that. As far as our eco, supposedly to be non-maintenance, maintenance-free park, that's a whole different story. And well, we'll try to do what we can to keep the place safe.
And the duck pond belongs to them, not to...
Right. So I know that they would like to pass the ownership to either the park or the village, but that's.
Then they have to expect...
Yeah, but Gene, you know what? How are you going? If that belongs to you, I don't think anyone stops you from going there now, right? Yeah, so why would you want to take ownership? All right. So I think the park the park is the issue. The park, the park should be the one. The park district should be the one that is really going to take, because we're not in the park business. So to start taking another park, it's going to be more difficult for us.
Oh, you mean just the ball field?
Right. I think the right thing to do, and I do believe that the park district would like to have the pond. I really do. I do think that they're interested in having something like that. They may have to open it up a little bit and do something to make it more public, but that's up to them. But I definitely do encourage you to speak to the park. All right. Do we have? Yes. You want to take the? We can talk about. No. Do you want a executive? Or no. You're not asking for advice of council. I'm going to say just quickly. So as we all know, the park has been around since when? The skating rink is now going into the 4 weeks.
It's 4 weeks.
4 weeks, and I do believe that so far what I have gotten from people, they all love it. People who have gone there, they enjoyed the lights, they enjoyed the ice skating, and as I mentioned before, I would like to encourage the continuation of this ice skating and the lights, the igloos, and the fire pits. So
It's scheduled to close this Sunday.
yes, it's scheduled to close on the 6th.
No, the
on the
12th.
12th. I'm sorry.
This Sunday.
This Sunday, and we are trying to work with the park to see if we can extend that, hopefully to February 2nd, which is also the Super Bowl. And it would be nice to have Super Bowl on ice with with the big screen TV. So with that, I asked Peter B. to come up with a proposal to them, and we can.
Yes, Mayor, my understanding is that there has been some conversation with representatives of the Park District, and they are requesting that the village make a contribution towards the costs that they have incurred for the construction of the skating rink, and they are prepared and have made the skating rink available to Village of Great Neck residents. They're prepared to further offer discounts on their amenities to Village of Great Neck residents. And inasmuch as the Great Neck residents have this community facility available to them, it would not be improper for the village to decide to make such a contribution towards the recreational facility out of its park fund. Should it wish to do so, the board may wish to consider a motion along the following lines. Whereas the Great Neck Park District has constructed a new skating rink, and whereas the Great Neck Park District has made that skating rink available for use by Great Neck residents, and whereas the Great Neck Park District will further make rink amenities available to Great Neck residents at a discounted price, now therefore be it resolved that the mayor is authorized to pay the Great Neck Park District 50% of the construction costs of its skating.
No, 50% of the, no, calm down everybody. It's not.
To a maximum of.
No, it's 50% of the cost of continuing for 3 weeks.
My apologies.
Not
50%
the,
of the operational costs of the skating rink to a maximum contribution of $25,000, subject to agreement by the Park District that Great Neck Village residents be afforded a discounted price of amenities satisfactory to the mayor, and said funds to be drawn against the Village Park Fund created under the authority of New York State law, including specifically Village Law 7-730, Subdivision 4C.
Right, so the discounted price that we discussed with the park was 50% for the Village of Great Neck residents.
Amenities only.
On the amenities only, food not included. So we would like to encourage people to go. The park fund is going to be used for this purpose, and I think it's going to increase the use of these services and the amenities. Also, because this is a park fund, we are using it for the park, and I think that is going, because it's our money, the village's money, the resident of the Village of Great Neck will get that 50% discount on the amenities.
Is there a trustee that wishes to move that motion?
I think we have somebody.
Hi,
who wants to
Marnie
comment on it.
Leifert, 50 Brampton Lane. Why? I'm just unclear. What do they need the money for?
Why what?
Why do they need this $25,000 for what?
Do they need it? It's something that I think it's going to benefit our village as well, and the people in...
Right now, they intend to close on January 12th.
I'm
It's
just
in our
missing
interest to extend it.
Why?
Why? Because
There's an indoor rink. Why do we need this outdoor rink any longer? Look,
because people are enjoying it, and people have gotten very positive feedback.
okay,
And
how many people are enjoying it?
a lot of people are enjoying
How
it,
many
and more
exactly?
people. I don't have
How
the
ma-
exact number.
Okay, but
How many people
do you
enjoy Stepping Stone? How many people
How many
enjoy
people
any
are
of the
using the
amenities?
facility
I don't
right
have
now?
those numbers.
So you want to take a vote, you don't have any numbers, but there are no answers, but you want to spend more money without any data, then people like it. People like lots of things.
Okay.
Listen, there are far better uses. I understand, it's only
Okay, let me ask you, no, hold on. Do you know what we can use the park fund for?
What, you know what?
I'm asking you a question.
I don't know if there's anything specific that's earmarked right now that the money could be spent on. I don't understand what our contribution needs to be. They are a park district. They decided, hey, let's have this outdoor rink. Okay, they have the outdoor rink, wonderful, but I don't understand where our contribution comes
This is not costing our residents anything, actually.
Okay, but there are taxpayer dollars that are already earmarked, right? You have this
No.
money.
No.
Okay.
No
Okay.
taxpayers' money.
So what else, you know what? What else? You tell me, what does
Right.
this funds go for?
So
I'm
I tell you,
listening.
so the park fund can only be used for park purposes, only. We cannot use it to pave the road, we cannot use it to pay our electricity, we cannot use it to pay the DPW, to clean the roads, or anything like that. For plowing, for employees, we cannot use it. It can only be used, as of the state law, I believe it's a state law, that it can only be used for park or recreational.
I don't have the statute in front of me, so I have to qualify my comments with that remark, but my recollection is that the monies come from parties who seek subdivision approval from the planning board, and as a condition of the subdivision, the party seeking the subdivision must make a contribution into this park trust fund when they can't actually create a park. So in the first instance, the planning board would say, if you want to subdivide the properties, can you put a park there? If you can't put a park there, if it's not practical to put a park there, give us a check. The check then has to go into a specific designated trust fund that can only be used for recreational purposes. So it doesn't come from taxing, and it can't be spent on general village funds. It's monies that come from applicants for subdivisions and can only be used for recreational purposes. This seems like a reasonable recreational purpose for village residents. And the Park District, as I understand it, is considering extending the operation of the rink for an additional period of time for the added enjoyment of village residents, but there are operational costs to doing so.
I
And
understand that there are operational costs.
I'm sorry, ma'am, I was addressing the board. And that the operational costs would be offset to the degree of 50% to a maximum of $25,000 under this resolution. So while the board has great discretion in deciding what recreational activity to support, it is limited to the use of these funds only to recreational purposes.
Well, there's one recreational purpose, ironically, that that these lovely folks came in regarding their parks for Strathmore. Okay, if their association fee, I don't know if the Strathmore Association has any fees, and those fees are supposed to be allocated to that park and to the maintenance of, for example, the ponds and their boardwalk. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't.
There is.
Okay, so maybe that $25,000, for example, could be spent for the beautification of their park, could be built for the construction of their boardwalk.
And how many people are living in Strathmore?
You know what? How many people are going to be taking advantage of that rink within this village? I have no idea, and apparently no one here has any numbers for me. Not one. There are better things that we could do right now, that Park District.
That's your opinion.
You know what? I'm coming to you as a resident, asking you for solid numbers. Does anybody have any numbers here on this board whatsoever?
It's very difficult to give any numbers, and I think you know that. It's very difficult to say.
No, I don't know. Somebody literally, there's somebody taking you pay somebody admission, they give you a bracelet, you get on the rink. Nobody has the numbers. Where do they come from?
Okay.
This is very, very fact specific.
It's an amenity just to have it available for residents. I live
It
across
is
the
an
street
amenity,
and
and
I
we
watch
have an
people
indoor
all day
rink.
and all night there on the weekends, and people have been using it at night. It's not crowded, but it's comfortable, and I think that people are enjoying it. And the fact that it's there has been of great benefit to the village and to not just our residents, but to the whole peninsula. And people off the peninsula are coming.
There are probably other places where the Park District could go if that's the desire, to keep the rink open for a longer period of time. I think there are issues that transcend what's happening here right now, just in terms of how how the outdoor rink and how the indoor rink are being staffed. That indoor rink is not before this board. What I'm saying is, I don't think that $25,000 from this board is probably money well spent when you have right here these folks who need help in that Strathmore Park.
Okay.
So I urge you to take that under consideration when they have a boardwalk, which is going to be, costly. And if they need help for that, and this money could be allocated to that, I think that's a wonderful
actually
idea.
our park.
But that's our park,
That's
and
not
we
their
didn't say
park.
that we're not
Okay.
going to take care of it.
And we didn't say we're not taking care of it. That's right.
I am saying that there are better purposes for this money, and it does not necessarily need to be from this village. That money does not need to come from any particular fund that's set aside for recreation.
Okay, thank you. David? I'm sorry, Gene, I called David.
David Slenziger, 15 Beach Road. Could our clerk treasurer tell us what the approximate assets of the park fund were as of December 31, 2019? I know it's been a long time since Mr. Gill mentioned that we had several $100,000.
A little over 700,000.
Come again?
Little over 700,000.
Thank you.
Thank you.
She did. Because she could have got, is she still here?
The one that just spoke?
Oh, yes, hi. She could have got the figures if you go to the park office. They went over them this morning at the work session of exactly, they have the figures of how many people have attended, how many outside residents, because that was one of the questions that the advisory board asked this morning We wanted to know how it had attracted the outside people, so how much income was coming in from outside. And they did admit they haven't, this is their first time, they only had 5 weeks to put this together. It was a tremendous amount of work in such a short time, and it was a trial. I mean, not everything goes right the first time. Yes, there was a lot of money spent. As of today, it's cost about $250,000, $260,000.
That's not including overtime. It's close, the number is
Well,
something
the
closer to
overtime,
400,000.
I'm not,
And that's conservative.
they wouldn't discuss overtime because that's a personnel matter and they won't discuss it to the public, in front of the public. So maybe you're right, it might be more, but as of today, it was like 260,000. That is a lot of money. And that was where the village was brought in. I know, Mr. Sobel, you have been there and you've enjoyed it very much. You've been very happy. You have been happy when you've gone to visit it. It hasn't brought the income they expected. The igloos did pay for themselves. Those belong to the Park District now, and the fire pits. They brought in enough money to pay for those, so that wasn't a loss. The food, but it's still
And would you agree that
nonetheless.
one of the barriers might have been that it was very expensive for some families, and therefore,
That's true.
by getting our residents a discount to go to
Yes.
use the ice skating rink and the facility, that we would increase the usage of the rink and provide the benefit to our residents
Yeah.
to do that.
But we
So,
also had bad luck with the
it's-
weather.
we have had bad luck with the weather, but this is, like you
So
said,
it
it's
didn't
new.
bring in what
and
they thought it
Right,
could
but
bring
we've
in.
gotten positive feedback so far,
Yes.
and we don't want to extinguish a small fire when it could grow into really, a nice, warm, permanent fire, so.
Yeah, well, that's why when they just tried to make the decision this morning, whether they should close it on the 12th, and they knew it was not going to bring in get back the 250,000, but they said if we brought in half the amount, I think it's about 100,000
You
now.
know, it's not the park
But they-
I know, but the park district is here to provide parks and recreation to the community.
And they
They're
agree
not
with that.
necessarily here
To make
to
a
make a,
profit.
to make a
That's right.
profit, okay? The maintenance of all of our parks far exceeds any kind of revenue that they get from the use of the parks or any of the facilities.
Well, some things pay,
Okay.
some things take a
So-
little loss,
okay.
and they even it out.
Right,
one
but
way.
their main function is to provide parks and recreation
Yes.
to the community, which I think they've done really nicely here. It could be improved maybe, they've learned some things, there's a curve, okay? But it's in the right direction, and it's certainly been a benefit to our village and to our residents to have it in our village, okay? We're very pleased that they selected our village to have this in. It could have been in any other park. So,
No, I agree,
Yeah.
but that what their worry was with the whole residents of all villages that belong to the Park District, whether they would be happy with extending it too, for those extra, and another 100,000 added on to what they've already
it's not another
spent.
100, but okay.
Well, if you went over the figures this morning, it really.
We've heard the numbers, it's not close. But anyway,
Yep, but they approached you to see if you would pay at least half of it so that they could justify to the Park District residents
just on the extension.
for the extension.
Right, so I
That's
think
all.
one thing,
Sam is first.
if I may,
Sam's been waiting
let me just, if I may, I think to the resident who spoke before, as Bart mentioned, Park is not here to make money. We're all here to provide services. Park is providing services as well. I do believe that the number of the people that went this past season or this season has not been to the expectation of what the park would like to have, and not even to my expectation. I thought that this place would be a lot busier. The fact is that so many people did not know about this, and they still don't know. And I do believe, I do believe that the park believes that if you extend it and you try and bring in more people, what this does, it's going to actually make people feel more comfortable and bring in their friends, maybe from even outside of the peninsula, to come visit. And in a year or two, and I do believe that any business you start, you're not going to, break even the first year or two.
Oh, they didn't expect
Right.
to.
So I think, to questions like how many people went, I don't know how many people from our village went. They can't give us the figure how many people used it. But
They said 1,500 children have gone there so far.
right.
As of yesterday.
Right. So I think
But not from the village per se,
But-
correct?
Well, I don't think they're
Well,
clocking
which
it. Our
village?
district
you
is-
can't say.
That's what I'm asking.
No, we can't say. As I mentioned before, you can't say. They don't say which village you're coming from. But
District residents.
if we do go ahead with this proposal and we get 50% discount on the use of the facility, whatever it is, rentals and igloos, and so that we can actually increase. I'm hoping that this is going to increase the use of the park. It is going to bring awareness to this skating rink. And I'm hoping that in a year or two, that place is going to be hopping in the wintertime. What we had last winter was the first time they actually put the lights up. And it was beautiful. I don't think anyone here can say those lights are not nice. People from Kings Point say it's nice. From Saddle Rock, they say it's nice. I tell you, my kids want to go by, just take a look. Sorry?
They should be for $15,000.
Right. But
Everything nice
no,
costs
but what I'm
something.
trying to say
Having nice things cost something sometimes.
is if you can't expect to have 100,000 people going to the skating rink the first year when it opened, I can tell you that most people don't still know about it. So I do agree with you that it's extremely costly. I do agree. I don't think anyone here says, $250,000 is chump change. It's not. Neither is $25,000 that we may put toward the extending it. But I do believe that if you extend it to the, if, well, we have to vote for it. Right. We have to vote for it. So I don't know.
We have a motion on the table.
We have the motion. Gene.
We have a motion pending.
Gene, we
You're
have to-
talking in the middle of the
So the
Deliberation.
whole thing is, if we can extend it all the way to the Super Bowl and invite people to come in for the Super Bowl, I think that would really be a great advertisement, and hopefully, weather permitting, people come and enjoy, and then it's going to be a thing for next year.
There's a wedding there?
There was
There
there
was a
was a
marriage
proposal.
proposal.
There was a proposal, not a wedding, but
Yes.
you never know. Maybe next year we get a wedding. I don't know. It's going to be a small wedding. Yes.
Sam has been waiting, and you've spoken already.
Sam, I have a very quick question. Are there any other villages that the district is seeking any form of contribution from, or is it solely the village of Great Neck?
I mean,
We don't
so
know
far
who
they're
they've spoken
asking
to.
us. I don't know.
So when you went to a meeting, I presume that there was a meeting, right, where somebody said to you, "Hey, you want to give $25,000?"
The
I
the ice skating rink is in our village.
Who said I hate?
And it's in,
No,
it's
this
in the village
is a
green.
village. So my question was, did anybody? Were you the only village approached? that
I
said
believe
for
that we're the only
contribution?
ones that are in conversation with them about this.
So then why us? Why this village?
Because we negotiated something where we can get a discount for our residents.
Not
to
only
use
that,
the
it's
facility.
it's in our village. It's in our village. The park is smack
The
in the middle
village
of our
green
village.
is the middle of the Great Neck Village.
I'm still missing why this village should be contributing. to
Okay,
this.
well, we explained it and you
because-
missed it.
No,
Sorry.
because no.
You know, Bart, as
sorry.
a fellow attorney, I find that
Listen.
to be incredibly disrespectful.
Marnie, I'm
and I
sorry.
would genuinely hope you don't
Can
speak
I
to any
can
of
I
your
say
colleagues
that?
that way.
Marnie,
It's not very
The
professional.
reason is it's in our village. If it, for example,
It's
if
in our
this was-
village, therefore we must contribute.
We
Got
don't.
it.
We,
We
don't.
didn't say
no,
we must.
No one said must.
We're
Listen, you
deciding.
know what? I know you're an attorney, but don't put words in my mouth. I said we are
I'm
considering
asking
it.
you a question.
That's not a question. The question is, are we considering it? Yes. Must we consider it? No. But we would like to consider it, and that's why it's on the agenda.
I am glad that it's on the agenda as a potential item. I would urge you to look at this in the most fiscally responsible manner and ask yourselves whether or not this $25,000 should come from us when the rink was not built by us. We had no say in whether or not this got built in the first place. This specific district So
Right.
it's
So,
a thought that
the other thing you should think, and I am going to have a conversation with you, the other thing you should think about is that you have over $700,000 in the park fund. It's not a small amount. And we don't really have many parks that we can spend it on. So if this is going to bring in vibrance to that area of our village that we, as the people who live in the village, can enjoy, why shouldn't we invest?
the very simple answer is when you're going to invest in anything at all, whatever it is, you have numbers and you take a look at the hard numbers
But
and you
I'm
crunch
not-
them.
I'm
And you
right.
look at you asked me a question, so I'm going
Right,
to answer you.
okay, go ahead.
You take a look at those numbers, you crunch that data and say, what do I do with this data, right? And then based on that data, you make a decision. Here I'm hearing it feels good, it seems like a nice thing, everyone seems to like it. I get it, it's a lovely thing. Lots of things are lovely. But if we're going to put money in anything, we have to say what makes sense for us. Can this money at some point in time be used for something else? And that's what I'm
We
telling you.
Right, you're right. It can
always
possibly, no, well, I wouldn't say I'm always right, but,
She didn't say she
no,
was
I'm sorry.
always
I thought that's what I heard. I'm
No,
sorry. I'm
she
sorry if you,
said-
okay.
She made some very good points.
I think you're right. The fact that this is money that we're spending, but we're not spending this money, investing it to make money back. I think we're investing it because it is going to create vibrance in that area. And I don't think anyone can disagree with that.
Creating, I mean, sure, right? It's subjective, right? This is
It's,
vibrance.
I think it's
I don't know what
objective
vibrance
already.
means.
I think
Look,
it's already been there.
In any event, the question is, how do you make a fiscally responsible decision? Do I put money here, or do I put it in something else that we really need? This is a desire.
If
This
you
is
have a
want.
different
This is
area
not
that
a
we need, we
necessity.
can put money there as well.
Well,
It has to be
if-
park
No,
purpose.
I totally understand that, and if you wanted to open it up and say, hey, this is where we're spending the money for this particular year, and here are the needs of the future, fine. I'm not hearing that
And
from
Marty,
this
we're
board.
deciding whether, in the Park District wants to close this, okay, their plan
Sure.
is to close it on this Sunday.
I'm aware.
Okay? We feel that this is a benefit to be in our village, that it's bringing life to
Are
that
you speaking
park.
for the board when you say we?
Well, I'm,
Not the
well,
whole
not
board.
the whole board.
Not the
but
whole
we're
board?
speaking for ourselves. So
Okay.
you should say
I-
I, don't say we.
Okay? I know for a fact, living there, that it is bringing people to that park. It is bringing activity there all weekend long. It is bringing people there on weeknights. It is not crowded, okay?
It is not crowded.
Right. We would hope that more people would come, and part of the idea is by getting the Park District to extend the time that the rink is up and getting a discount for our residents would achieve both purposes. And we
Right.
think that this is a worthwhile cause for the park fund. Or I shouldn't say we, some of us.
I hear you, and again, I'll say that since there's no specific,
Hmm?
since you're saying it's going to be a public benefit, there still
Okay.
hasn't been any data
Okay.
on, how many people from our particular
Marnie,
village.
I
That's
welcome you to.
all I have to say.
Okay,
Thank
Marnie,
you so
I welcome you to
much.
come back to
Okay.
the podium, but we took Sam's time. So Sam, come up.
So I just have a question and a
Feel
comment.
free to raise it up.
I broke the microphone. So the first question is, you're saying it's 50%, not of the whole operating cost, but from this Sunday?
It's up to $25,000.
No, the amount, but are you talking about from when they opened it?
No, no.
No, you're
From the
talking about
12th
the
until the
period of
2nd.
extension.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
So, and that's the salary of the workers, the
No.
electric,
No.
stuff like that? Oh, so.
Just
Operating
the
rental
rent,
costs?
the electricity, the generator, that.
So up to half the cost of them extending it. All right,
Right.
cool.
26,000 just for the rental of the rink for the 3 weeks.
Oh, I see.
Which we're hoping they can actually get a discount.
So now maybe you could turn the cameras off because I don't want this on the record.
Everything's on the record.
Oh, no.
I know what people don't like to say that, but everything's on the record.
Okay, well, here it goes. I was there the first night and I saw you speak. And you said, this is what revitalization looks like. And I have to totally agree with you. And I think it's been a great thing. And it is an investment in the village, I think. I've been talking about it for years, that village green should be a destination. And that's what you've made it. You said it once that it's for people off the peninsula too. When the NHL started making outdoor hockey games, people sit in the cold and the snow just to watch a hockey game at Yankee Stadium or something. So people who like it, like that kind of thing outside. I know there's an indoor rink. And that'll continue after the Super Bowl, if that's when it's extending to. But I think this is a really special thing. The lights are really special. I think the skating rink has been really special. And I think it's the first step in making the Village Green a year-long. You should think of seasonal things. Again, a farmer's market, et cetera. I know the park's talking about it. But I think the more people you could bring to the Village Green, the better. And if you can get some other restaurants and food trucks or whatever, and you build upon that. And like we said, whenever you start a new business, you're never making money off the bat. And we're not doing this to make money. What you can do to revitalize the village, this is one of the things you can do to revitalize the village and bring people to the green as a destination. I think it's been wonderful. And if you have a parks fund with $700,000, I say kick it in and keep the thing going.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm not sure what crowded means. The rinks was crowded on Sunday, 2 sessions I know of because my grandchildren were skating. And it reached the point where I actually wondered if all those people were getting in each other's way. There were so many people on the ice. And that's when I spoke with Frank Salufo, and he said, so far they knew that 1,500 children had used the rink. The thing that I saw that, and a couple of us discussed it, which was fascinating, was that so many people were using the rink who did not seem to be proficient skaters. Now, people go to Parkwood to take lessons and to become more proficient, but this seemed to have invited people to try out ice. It was fascinating. Grown-ups and children alike making their way around the edge, taking a few, steps off, not holding on, and then grabbing hold again. And the astonishment was that they went there to try out ice. But people don't go to Parkwood to try out ice. So in addition to the fact that so many people went there who actually skated Parkwood or elsewhere, there was this other contingent. It opened up the space to people that I would never have thought about it opening up the space to. Somebody just said to me, it's $25,000. This isn't going to break the bank, and it's on my taxes no matter where the money comes from, both in the Park District and in the village. It seems to me Sam's right on target here. This just is bringing people in. It's making, if people get used to
Just for correction, it's not coming from tax money. This is not a tax money at all.
No, I understand. No, I'm saying if it's continued in the Park District.
Oh, it's coming from their tax.
Right, I'm saying I pay taxes anywhere. For me, the issue is not the extra money or where you take that. I'm glad you would take it out of the park fund. But in the Park District, my understanding is the big money has been spent to actually establish it. And it took weeks to build it there. And the maintenance is the gasoline to run the generator and
the rent.
Right, and the rental, all of which is comparatively marginal. I don't know their costs. I don't know what their numbers are. And I think the crunching of the numbers is absolutely valuable and crucial for us to know. And then we can either say, so what? Or we can move forward to do something good for the village. It is in our village, there's no question.
I think everyone agrees that any business you start takes a while to kick in. So I think, hopefully extending it for 3 weeks is going to increase the number of the people that are going to come.
And by getting a discount to people, they're going to bring more people.
Oh, I just forgot one thing. My daughter just put it on the Port Washington Serve and has gotten a response in a 24-hour period that was totally amazing. People said, what? Igloos? Wait, igloos? Like that.
No, they don't know it's not real igloos.
No, that's not why they're saying that.
Igloos are very popular
I know,
all over the
it's
city.
gorgeous.
No, they're saying,
It's just
they
nice to
got the
see.
picture. She sent out photographs. She put it on the Port
It's
Washington
beautiful.
Serve with photographs.
My kids want it in our backyard.
And people are, so that I think that thing about using the Village Green for this particular thing as a mecca may be realized in these next few weeks as well.
And I tell you, from what you said, to continue this into, we have discussed it with the park to hopefully have other activities for the summer. Miniature golf was one of the things that came up that is not as expensive, but it's something that will draw some people, and also there will be lights at night and people coming in and using it. I think those are the things we need to do to really have that place going. And as far as the food court, it's a great idea, and I would love to see Bart help bring in a couple of these trucks that we had for the
Street
fair, for the street fair, to bring in, hopefully, if they stay open until the Super Bowl. I think that would be an amazing thing to do. And I tell you, the moment you have a bunch of people come there for the Super Bowl, and they can get their gyros and they can get their food and they do sit down and drink and enjoy their time, that place is going to be the place that everyone's going to wait for the following year.
Hi, Kate Goldberg, 26 West End Avenue. I love our ice rink, and I think it is a great improvement for the village. But what I disagree, I think it's not right to use the park fund money for operational costs, because park fund is something that is there, that we collect money, and at some point we have a big sum of money to invest, to make an investment in public space. And if we use the money from park fund for operational costs, then at some point we don't have anything for long-term investments, because Super Bowl is great, but the day after Super Bowl we still have nothing, and we need again money for new investment. So I just want you to consider that this is something for long-term assets, for creating public space and long-term assets for public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Jenny Lerman, 114 Woolies. I actually agree with you and Sam on this one. We don't always disagree. I think this would be a wonderful contribution to an amenity that has been great for the entire peninsula, and to help defray costs for the Park District, I think is a nice thing. The Super Bowl thing, do you guys watch football? My husband watches football. I know men that watch football. I don't think the Super Bowl is going to be a big draw. Just putting that out there, because I do support you making this rink even more popular. So I think extending it is a great thing. Super Bowl play, I don't know.
Okay.
That's all I got.
And we can't stop the Super Bowl.
No, I know, but I'm saying I don't think it's going to be a big
They've played all kinds of
attraction.
sporting.
People want to skate while they're watching the Super Bowl.
They've played sporting events throughout on the TV.
The TV's there, whatever.
It was interrupted
Okay,
for
no,
the.
hey, promote it however
It was
you want.
interrupted
I
for a
just-
marriage proposal on Sunday, but that was it.
A marriage proposal, is that like part of your fire that burns?
No, that was not part of my fire. I'm not the one that got proposed to.
Usually you propose.
You're not the one who got, I'm sorry, I missed your last comment.
I'm not the one that got proposed to. So.
Oh, no, you were literally the strange fire metaphor.
Did she say yes?
You didn't like that fire metaphor, I guess.
Did she say yes?
She said yes.
Oh, okay. Mazel tov.
Yeah.
There is a motion on the floor, which is awaiting a second.
Well, before that, I would like, because I don't know if the motion, the whereas that we are paying for the construction,
I
strike.
have changed that. I'll reread the resolve clause. Resolved that the mayor is authorized to pay the Great Neck Park District 50% of the operational costs of its skating rink through February 2nd to a maximum contribution of $25,000, subject to agreement by the Park District that Great Neck Village residents be afforded a discounted price of amenities satisfactory to the mayor, and said funds to be drawn against the Village Park Fund pursuant to state law, including specifically Village Law 7-730, Subdivision 4C.
So moved.
The item having been moved, is there a second? Seconded by Trustee Hope. Any discussion, any further discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in...
Well, I want to say that I echo the words of some of the people who spoke and want to be a little more conservative with their use of the park funds. I agree with those comments.
Thank you very much. And any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One opposed. The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I just want to know if you need a motion to direct or ask the board to direct me to sign the final.
The mayor has been now authorized to pay the Great Neck Park District the sum of money.
Good.
Subject to the agreement on the discounted amenities.
Okay. Thank you. All right, so the way I think it's going to happen, we haven't finalized it, but I think we would like to have somebody in our village giving the vouchers. This is something that we need to discuss with the park for them to know that they are, obviously, we check who is coming from the village. We make sure that they're village residents, and we sign on a voucher that we come up with hopefully with the next week. We have until Sunday, because this 50% off is going to be from the 12th until the closure.
Second.
Yeah, Sam.
It just didn't, I'm not a lawyer, I'm sorry, but it just seemed like the resolution called for the 50% of the operational cost. It didn't say 50% of the operational cost of the extension period.
No, it says up to 25%, and I believe it did
Through
says
February
Up to
2nd.
25,000.
But not starting on the 12th. Read it again, not of the extension period.
From the 12th to the.
It doesn't say that, it said of the operational cost.
Either way, it's 25,000, that's all they're getting.
more.
No, up to,
Up
up
to.
to.
Up to.
Up to,
It's actually up to
maybe it's only 15,
24.
but if you go from the beginning,
Yeah.
it'll be 20.
It's up to 24,000.
But it could, whatever. Specify that it's 50% of the extension period.
I would say no.
Speak to them. I mean, I don't know. I think that's crazy for them to say no. I have to speak to them. I'll speak to them and find out. I have to.
As
I have to-
worded, it was 50% of the operational costs of its skating rink through February 2nd.
Yeah, I think you should say the extension from.
From January 12th.
I'm sorry, January 13th.
January 13th through February 2nd. Is there a motion to amend the prior motion of the board? Moved by trustee Hope, seconded by trustee Sobel. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all those in favor of the amended motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Trustee Mendelson? The motion carries, and the first
Do you know
motion
if
is
I can
amended
vote on
amending the motion?
as
amended
indicated.
motion?
Why should I?
Okay. Okay.
You know, when they,
It's passed.
they have to show their park card anyway, like.
No. There's a difference. Park card doesn't say which village you're from. If you want to get a 50% discount, next time you go ice skating,
Yes.
yeah. No, not everybody. Only we are paying for it, so we're getting the 50%. No. Kings Point people can go, but they don't.
He never speaks, let him speak.
I know, but the thing is, they're watching and they think that they really have to pay double. No one has to pay double. The Village of Great Neck residents will pay half after the 13th until whenever it's open, which is hopefully by the Super Bowl. We do have the Groundhog's Day the same day of the Super Bowl, so I'm hoping that we can make something of that as well.
Mayor, does the board wish to entertain approval of the minutes of December 3rd?
I'll abstain.
Moved by trustee Namdar. Second by trustee Hope. Any discussion on that motion?
Just 1 second, I just wanted to see the end. I didn't get a chance to go over the last part. Okay. Aye.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. The ayes have it unanimously.
No,
I abstain.
he's abstained.
I abstain.
Trustee Sobel abstains. And I believe the last item for a vote is the abstracts.
I just have one question. The Office of Management of Budget, there was a check for 62K. It said overpayment. What was that about?
Oh, that's the
That's
money
what we
that was-
approved last time, Nassau County, if you remember, the money from
Paid us and we paid them back.
Garden
Oh,
City
oh.
came to Great Neck,
Oh, so
they're just
then
sending
it
the money
finally
back.
came through. Okay.
Correct.
So I make a motion to accept the abstract.
I second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I don't know, I'm thinking of saying no. All right, I'll say aye.
The ayes have it. I note agenda notes that the next meeting of the Board of Trustees will be Tuesday, January 21. Is there a motion to adjourn the business?
No, no.
Public comment?
Public comment.
Oh. Yes.
David Slenziger, 15 Beach Road. I'm pleased to see our new building superintendent here, and I wanted to call something to his attention. There's been construction at 10 Beach Road, interior construction, for about the last 7 months, which is permitted and so on. But as part of it, the former superintendent required the homeowners to put an outhouse in the front of 10 Beach Road. And it's not only an eyesore, but since I live right across the street, I've noticed that this outhouse has become,
You saying the pod?
No, it's
yeah,
an outhouse.
yeah.
An
It's
outhouse.
become used by far more than
Oh,
whoever
really?
is working on 10 Beach
Porta-potty.
Road.
Oh.
It's being used by the post office, it's being used by
What?
FedEx and others, and even today by a contractor who came to 8 Beach Road around 1 o'clock.
I don't have a contract.
Well, someone was in your driveway, a blue van with all kinds of yellow things. I couldn't read what it said there.
It
And
might have
even
been-
he went there first. The point
It was
is,
probably an Amazon delivery.
well, I don't know what it was. I couldn't read what it was. It was there for half an hour. The point is,
He's delivering more than just a package.
well, no,
You stood there for a half hour and watched this?
No, look. You see them come and then they go, the point is, what I'm wondering is, could our new superintendent investigate this? And perhaps could this outhouse be moved to the side or the back?
Maybe can they
So
put
that the
people
only people who use it are whoever is working at 10 Beach Road.
They can put it in the-
As,
they can
and
put it
here
in
we
the
just
back.
talked about the Village Green and people going there. You know how many cars use Beach Road on a school day? I mean, come on. So aesthetically, it's, you know what I mean. I'm pleased to see that you're here, and I hope you can follow up with me.
Move to adjourn.
Any other comments? Oh, good for you. Move to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Can we adjourn?
Yeah. It's good.
Is it okay if I do